Hello guys, welcome to the fiction series. Today we are gonna see, what if Naruto became the Orange Flash and loved Blaze? Part 1. Huge shout out to Hussbek for this story. If you want more awesome fanfiction like this, don't forget to hit that subscribe button. So without wasting any time, let's get into the video. On a desolate land, one could see craters, kunes, shurikens, and other signs of destruction. If you strain your ears, you hear large sounds followed by the earth shaking. If you're wondering what's going on here, then the answer will be war, one that will decide the destruction or salvation of the elemental nations. Currently, two men were facing another across the battlefield. Their opponent was none other than Uchiha Madara, who is the progenitor of the Uchiha clan and the reason for the war. He had sealed 9 of the bijou within him, with one of them being only half, while the other half is under the possession of his opponents. He seeks to claim the other half so as to complete his plan, which is to use the moon to cast an illusion on the entire elemental nations and to rule as he sees fit, but his opponents won't make it easy for him. "Let's take him down once and for all, Sasuke," said a boy with blonde hair. His name is Naruto Uzumaki, a ninja of the Hidden Leaf Village and the Jinchuriki of the Kurama, the Nine-Tailed Fox. He currently possesses the yin half of Kurama's chakra and is currently in his 6 paths mode, which was granted to him by Hashirama, the first sage of the 6 paths and the surrogate father of the 9 bijus. Naruto's body is covered in yellow chakra, a circular design over his stomach. The whisker-like marks are much thicker to resemble a trigram, and 6 magatama are present around his collar. The darker designs give the appearance that he's wearing a bodysuit beneath the yellow coat, and there are 6 black balls floating behind him. The boy next to him silently nodded in affirmation. It's his best friend and former teammate Sasuke Uchiha. He had defected from the Hidden Leaf Village in pursuit of revenge but had returned to aid the others. He had also met Hashirama and now possessed the Mangekyo Sharingan in one eye and the Rinnegan on the other. It's not going to be easy, Naruto, especially since he possesses the power of the bijus. Don't worry about that. I just got a trump card for that problem, so all I need to do is get close to Madara team for it to work, said Naruto with a smirk. I hope you know what you're doing. Of course, Sasuke, this is me we're talking about. Exactly my point, Sasuke deadpanned at the blonde. Whatever, let's just beat this guy up and then head so that I can have a bowl of ramen at Ichiraku. With that said, Naruto charged forward with Sasuke close behind as they targeted the progenitor of the clan and the cause of the war. Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto spawned a few clones that dashed ahead of him with kunai drawn to attack Madara. It's best that you surrender, your death is inevitable, said Madara as he held his Shikujo at the ready before the clones drew close. Then he started defending against the attacks easily due to the power of the Rinne Sharingan. One of the clones stretched out a chakra arm to grab the Uchiha, but it was blocked. Another clone threw his kunai only for Madara to twirl the staff to knock it into the air before grabbing it and throwing it back quickly to dispel the clone. A few more clones attacked at the same time with the Rasengan. Madara quickly used Kamui to disappear from the attack and appear elsewhere, only for Sasuke to come in from behind with a blazing Chidori in his left hand and his Tanto in his right. Madara grabbed Sasuke by the wrist to prevent the Chidori from getting any closer and used the Shikujo to block the Tanto. Naruto was coming in fast with a large Rasengan and 3 smaller Rasengan orbiting around it. Take this, planetary Rasengan, shouted Naruto as he launched his attack. Madara swung Sasuke around to use him as a shield but failed to notice the smirk on the Uchiha's face as he substituted with one of Naruto's shadow clones, who then grabbed on and held him in place as the jutsu made contact and sent Madara flying before he crashed into a nearby mountain. Sasuke moved in to use Amaterasu to finish him off. Madara summoned the skeletal ribcage of Susanoo to block the black eternal flames and formed a skeletal arm to grab him. You are an annoyance, be gone from my sight. Madara threw a black chakra rod which stabbed Sasuke in the chest and tossed him with the skeletal arm to a far distance. Sasuke. Damn it, without him to help me distract him, I don't know how I can use it without him being on alert, thought Naruto as he gritted his teeth. Do you have a backup plan, kid? Asked Kurama from within the mindscape. I do, but you're not going to like it, Naruto sent his thoughts to Kurama, who frowned upon receiving it. Are you sure that you want to do this? Doing this, both our lives in serious danger, and a single slip-up could lead to death. We don't have much options, Kurama, and this could end the war in one shot. Okay, Kit, just know that we're in this together until the very end. Naruto smiled warmly at the support of his lifelong friend. Thanks, partner. He turned to face Madara. Let's do this. Shadow clone jutsu. Several clones appeared and charged at Madara again. You're all that is left to stand in my way. Once I'm done with you, my Moon Eye plan will be complete, said Madara with a sadistic smile. Not if I have anything to say about it. Everyone's counting on me and Kurama, so I can't afford to lose. We shall see. Fire style. Great fire annihilation. Madara took a deep breath and unleashed a massive blast of fire at Naruto and his clones. Naruto willed the 6 Gautama to float before him. Then he melded them together into one before expanding it to form a shield, which the clones took cover behind it right before the fire made contact. Madara dashed forward and went around the shield to launch another attack, only to find neither Naruto nor his clones there. He felt a sudden jolt of pain and looked down to see a fist buried in his gut, which came from a shadow clone. Then the other clones quickly followed up with attacks of their own. Zu! Ma-ki! Naruto dived in from above with a Rasengan in hand. Naruto Raden plus Rasengan. Shinra Tensei. Naruto and his clones got blasted back from the eye technique and was sent flying away from Madara. Naruto recovered in midair and skidded to a stop and raised his head to see Madara stretching out a hand for his head. Kid, watch out. He's trying to use the Deva path of the Rinnegan to draw out your soul. Kurama shouted out a warning. Naruto grabbed the hand by the wrist and quickly caught the other one, which lashed out and held them in place. You've got to end this quickly. You don't have much longer in this form. What will you do now, Uzumaki? I can sense that your chakra is almost depleted, said Madara. You're right, which is why I'm going to defeat you by doing this. A chakra burst out from Naruto's back and was holding a slip of paper with seals drawn on it. Then it smacked the seal on Madara's chest. Then the seals glowed a bit, then they crawled up the paper and infused themselves on his body. My chakra is going berserk. What did you do to me? Shouted Madara. He felt as if something was trying to tear its way out of his body. It's a special chakra disruption seal that I made during the beginning of the battle. I had my clones create the seal while I kept you busy throughout. It messes with your chakra, something which is very important for a Jinchuriki. I've given the bijou inside you a chance to escape, and there's nothing you can do to stop it. The one thing that he learned from Pervy Sage and his parents is that seals have endless possibilities. He started learning about them after the Jiraiya's death, and studied harder after he met the chakra construct of his father. Madara cried out as 8 red tendrils of chakra shot out from his body and into the distance. Kit, those were the spirits of the bijou that just came out. That Uchiha bastard is now nothing more than a hollow husk, said Kurama with satisfaction at finally taking down Madara. It's over for you. Naruto swung Madara around several times before tossing him into the air. He was about to prepare a Rasen Shuriken to finish him off when he heard the Uchiha yell out. You little brat! You ruined my plans! If I'm going down, then I'm dragging you down with me! Madara started going handstands very quickly, then he began to glow brightly. Kurama's eyes widened upon realizing what he was about to do. Kit, get out of there now! He using what's left of his chakra to turn himself into a bomb that will explode over a mile radius. You have to get a move on! Shouted Kurama. Naruto was about to run when his 6 paths mode faded away and he was in his ragged orange jumpsuit. He struggled to his feet and started to run, but it was that the exhaustion from his previous battles had finally taken effect. Kid, at this rate, you won't be able to make it, said Kurama. Damn it, then what should we do, Kurama? Asked Naruto while still running. Kit, I want you to listen to me carefully. Meanwhile, Kakashi, Sakura and Sasuke, who was healed by the pinkette, were running across the battle towards where they last saw Naruto. Hurry, we must get to Naruto to help fight against Madara. said Kakashi. Then they heard an explosion and saw white energy spreading out. What was that? Asked Sakura worriedly. I don't know, but I hope Naruto's okay, said Sasuke. Then he saw someone approaching them and recognized who it was: Naruto. Hey guys, said Naruto with a sad smile which confused them. Why are you looking so down? Surely you were able to beat Madara, right? Asked Kakashi. Yeah, I did. But the truth is that I'm a shadow clone. Hearing this put shock and fear in the hearts of the members of Team 7. What happened to the original Naruto? Asked Sakura. After freeing the Bijou, the boss was about to finish Madara off when he used a jutsu to self-destruct in order to kill him. The boss was too tired to get away, so Kurama performed a kenjutsu which would send the both of them to another dimension in order to escape the kamikaze attack, said the clone. Then surely you will be able to come back, right? Asked Sasuke, but the clone looked away from them. The jutsu is a one-way ticket, isn't it? Kakashi, only to receive a nod from the clone. Sakura started to cry as she realized that she would never see Naruto again, just when Team 7 had finally reunited. That was when he created me and had transformed into a kunai which he threw far away from the blast so that I'll meet you and say his goodbyes, as well as give you this scroll. The clone held out a scroll which Kakashi took with shaking hands. Who is it for? Asked a tearful Sakura. It's someone whom he wanted to spend the rest of his life with. Only she can open it, said the clone. Then he shook a bit. My time is almost up. Kakashi-sensei, Sasuke and Sakura-chan, I'm leaving Konoha in your hands now. Please protect it. We will, Naruto, and that is a promise of a lifetime, said Sasuke. Naruto smiled happily before disappearing in a puff of smoke, the remaining members of Team 7 to walk back to the others to tell the sad news that their favorite blonde will never be coming back. Somewhere in a certain mountain, a large blue orb burst from the ground and hovered in the air. Then 5 smaller orbs colored red, blue, yellow, orange and green. Then they floated over to the large blue which started to glow. We must return to our master, said the blue orb with smaller ones glowing as if in agreement. Then they took off to the sky in a beam of white in search of their mysterious master. Kit, hey Kit, wake up! Shouted Kurama. Naruto groaned a bit as he opened his eyes before getting up to look around. He was currently standing in a sewer which he recognized to be his mindscape, where he often meets Kurama. He turned around to see a giant fox with rustic orange fur, long ears like a rabbit's, and 9 tails. Hey Kurama, so what's happening right now? Asked Naruto. We're currently floating in a void between dimensions and are on our way to one of them, but I don't know which one, said Kurama. There was silence in the mindscape until Naruto spoke up. Kurama, are you sure that there's no way for us to return? Kurama looked sad for a bit before he replied, I'm sorry, Kit, but the old man told me that if I or the other Bijou were to use the trans-dimensional jutsu, there's no chance of returning to our original dimension as there are many others for us to pinpoint. Then I guess my dream of becoming Hokage won't come to pass, said Naruto with tears building up in his eyes. I won't have any of that, Naruto. Don't forget that it was you who united us Bijus, won the war and saved countless lives. That is far greater than any other Kage, and all of it was done by a ninja named Naruto Uzumaki, so quit it with the waterworks. Naruto looked at the fox in surprise before he wiped his eyes and smiled warmly at Kurama. Thanks, Kurama, I guess I needed that. Don't mention it, Kit, we're friends, aren't we? Asked Kurama, to which Naruto nodded happily. Good, anyway there's something that I wanted to talk to you about. Really, what's up? I discovered something interesting. Turns out that you have a Kekkai Genkai too, to be exact. What? I have two Kekkai Genkais? Shouted Naruto in confusion. Yes, the first one is called the Swift Release, which give you the ability to move at high speeds. You must have inherited it from your father, which makes a lot of sense, as he could move at such speeds even when not using the Hirishin Kunes. But then why couldn't I use it until now? I don't, but it must have activated when you merged your chakra with mine. That's the best explanation so far. The second is your Uzumaki blood, but that was active the whole time as it gives you high levels of stamina and the ability to heal quickly. But I thought my ability to heal came from you? Asked Naruto. Not really, it was your Kekkai Genkai this whole time, but you being my Jinchuriki simply enhanced it to higher levels, said Kurama. Naruto placed an hand on his chin with a thoughtful look on his face. So let me get this straight. I can move at high speeds like my dad and as well as take hits and heal like my mom. Then he smirked. I sound so badass right now. Kurama simply sighed in exasperation before he chuckled softly. But I noticed something else. I sensed something infuse itself in your body some time ago. Every time I try to locate it, it hides itself from me. Is it harmful? So far it hasn't done anything bad to your body, but the weird thing is that it had a bit of your chakra before it infused itself in you, and I heard something like I have returned to you, master, before I lost trace of it. That sounds as if I met it before, but I don't remember being a master to anything. I guess we'll just have to wait and see. Kit, you might want to wake up. It seems like we've arrived. And just to let you know, the trans-dimensional jutsu could have certain side effects on the user, so let's just hope that it's not too bad. Naruto simply smiled and waved him off. Relax, Kurama. It's not like I would look a fox that walks on 2 feet. Then he disappeared to find out about this new world that they're in. Naruto opened his eyes and their first thing he saw were blue skies. Then he slowly got and looked around to find himself standing in a lush forest with animals running around. While this place is beautiful, Naruto raised his hand to scratch the back of his head only to notice that his arm was covered with orange fur. Then he felt something waving behind him and turned to see 9 tails wagging. What the heck? Seeing a nearby stream, he quickly ran over to look at his reflection. There he saw an anthropomorphic fox with black whisker marks, and his hands were possessing claws that retract and come out upon his command. I guess that this could be the side effect, said Kurama from within the mindscape. What do we do now, Kurama? I can't go around looking like this. Who knows what kind of reaction we would get if someone sees us like this? Kid, calm down. We'll know what to do when the time comes. I have noticed that your chakra system has been seriously strained due to the constant battle without rest. So I'd advise that you don't use high-level jutsus, Sage mode, Chakra mode, and even your Rasengan and Shadow clones. You mean none at all? Asked Naruto. Well, you can use the Rasengan at half its power, which is without a shadow clone, and you create no more than 5 shadow clones. That's how much your chakra system can currently handle while I fix it. Got it, Kurama. So only quick Rasengan and 5 clones are my limit. Now let's check my inventory. Naruto looked at his forearm and was relieved to see a seal, which is a storage seal to keep his tools and other items. He bit his thumb and swiped the blood on the seal to release the items as they lay on the floor for him to look. So far he has a stack of explosive tags, 100 kunai and shuriken each, empty scrolls, a brush and ink for drawing seals, and a couple of his father's Hirishin kunai. I remembered to pack all the necessary tools, but I forgot to pack a change of clothes, Naruto muttered in annoyance. And this is why everyone calls you an idiot, said Kurama while laughing. Naruto's eyes twitched. Stop laughing and let's get a move on. Naruto sealed the items back in the storage seal, but then he noticed a tattoo in the shape of an azure dragon on his other forearm. I wonder what this is. Could I have something to do with whatever infused itself with my body? He shrugged his shoulders and started walk through the forest. Along the way, Naruto came across something that caught his interest. It was several golden rings that were floating just a few inches above the ground. He walked over and cautiously picked one of it up to observe closely. He could sense a slight pulse of energy from it. What do you think of this, Kurama? Asked Naruto. I don't know, but I think you should gather more of them. Maybe you can trade them for the currency in order to buy the things we need, said Kurama. Naruto nodded in affirmation. Then he took out the brush and ink to draw a storage seal on his palm. Then he grabbed the rings that disappeared into the seal. How about I try out my dad's swift release as well as get myself back in shape? Said Naruto, receiving a grunt from the fox. Then he crouched low before taking off, leaving a small crater at where his feet were. Music start. Sonic Generations OST, Green Hill, Modern. Naruto was tearing through the forest at speeds which he had never gone before outside the tailed beast chakra mode, which even surprised Kurama himself. Whoa, this Kekkai Genkai totally rocks. Dad must have had a lot of fun running circles around his enemies all day, shouted Naruto excitedly. Hey, what's that up ahead? Naruto, a flat panel with endless treadmills on the ground. When Naruto stepped on it, he felt himself thrown forward with a small burst of speed. Whoa, I guess that boosts my running speed for a short time. He kept on running until he came across a cliff face. Smirking slightly, he started running up the wall without applying chakra to his feet, and soon felt himself slow down until he saw more of those flat panels which he now calls dash panels. He ran on them to regain the speed lost, and kept on going till he reached the top. Naruto ran along the edge of the cliff, and there was a gap between it and another cliff. I doubt that I can jump that far. Then he saw a metal ring with a glowing inner rim with 3 plates showing arrows pointing into them. Without thinking, he jumped high into the air and through ring and felt himself launched further until he landed on the other side, and that would be the aerial version of the dash panels. He found himself in a craggy area with 2 mountains on both sides. Naruto was vaulting over the rocky obstacles and soon came upon a ledge too high for him to reach and no dash panels to help him out. Now how do I get up there? Hey kid, follow those trails of rings, said Kurama, who was looking through his eyes the whole time. Naruto followed the trail and came upon a red platform with a blue circle and yellow star in the center, and he could see a gray spring underneath it. Naruto looked up to see more of them placed in different areas and got the idea. Then he stepped on the first one, which bounced him into the air to another one, and continued to do so until he reached the top. He started running downhill and heard rumbling from and looked behind to see large boulders rolling behind him. Whoa, a rock slide. He ran faster with the rocks getting closer. Then he saw a spring to his left and quickly jumped at it and bounced into the air and away from the rock slide. Phew, that was a close one, said Naruto, wiping sweat off his eyebrow. You were lucky, kid. If you hadn't used those springs to get away, you would have gotten crushed by those boulders, said Kurama. Now get going. We should be close to a town or city from what I'm sensing. Okay, fur ball, I got it. Naruto took off again, not before hearing Kurama grumble about being called a fur ball. Music end. Along the way, Naruto was getting used to the swift release and even created a few moves with it. Then he finally skidded to a stop in front of a cliff which was overlooking a city next to the ocean with boats floating through CBPs within it. Naruto also saw people walking on the streets wearing clothes that are different from the ones that the civilians from his own dimension wear. Wow, this place looks so beautiful, and it's close to the sea. It kinda reminds me of the Land of Waves, don't you think so, Kurama? Asked Naruto as he enjoyed the view. I have to admit it, kid. It certainly does. Now you should go and gather information so that we can find out where exactly we are and how things are done in this dimension, said Kurama. Sir, yes sir, said Naruto with a mock salute. Then he jumped off the cliff and skidded down the wall until he reached the bottom and walked towards the city. As he walked along the streets, he noticed people were giving him looks but was surprised that he didn't sense any trace of negative emotions with his sensory abilities that he got from Kurama. Hey Fox, you have any idea why they're looking at me like that? I thought they would be disgusted with the way I look. I think it might have to do with the fact that you just walked into the city, wearing clothes that make you look like you just came out of a war zone, said Kurama. Naruto looked at himself and realized that his favorite orange and black jumpsuit are so ragged that they made him look like a hobo. You're right. I'd better head to a clothing store and buy some clothes. I hope they have some with orange there. After asking for some directions from the citizens, Naruto was able to locate a store that sells clothes and entered it. Hello there, how may I help you? Asked a man who's standing behind a counter. Hello sir, I was hoping to buy some clothes here since my old ones are much too ragged, said Naruto. Of course, feel to browse through our collection, and when you're done, you can complete your purchase here with rings. I guess those rings are a form of currency around here. It's a good thing that you collected a lot on the way here, said Kurama with Naruto nodding in agreement. After looking through the clothes, Naruto came wearing an orange and black flak jacket with multiple pockets and a hoodie with the zipper open, black cargo shorts with red flames and orange high-top sneakers with dragon designs on it. Naruto was able to salvage some stuff from his old clothes, which were his headband, ninja pouch and his kunai holster which he wore with his new clothes. Naruto headed back to the counter and paid for the clothes, which was a cost of 500 rings, before he left walk around the city. He walked by a shop and saw a brochure that caught his interest. Maybe this will give us some information. He took one and read it for a while. He read that he was in a city called Solana, which is a constitutional monarchy with an economy dominated by tourism and precision machinery. They worship a sun god who goes by the name Solaris. The brochure also states that the city falls under the rule of Princess Elise. Hey Kurama, it also says that there's an event called the Solana Sun Festival where the citizens give their thanks to the sun by honoring the sun god Solaris. And it's going to be held tonight, plus the princess will be there as the main attraction. Think we can hang around and see it? Asked Naruto mentally. Well, since you humans celebrate an event once every year, I don't see any harm in it, said Kurama. Come on, buddy, what could possibly happen? Said Naruto with a laugh. What he didn't was that he was in himself into the craziest adventure with certain people whom he'll form a bond that will last a lifetime. Naruto was hanging around the city and enjoying the sights while waiting for the night in order to take part in the Solana Sun Festival. Walking through the streets, Naruto saw what looks to him as puppets made of metal patrolling the street with the letters written G-U-N on it. The surprising thing is that they aren't controlled by a puppet master and no chakra strings attached to them. Kit, I think no one in this world possesses any chakra. I guess we're the only ones, said Kurama. Maybe they use their advanced technology to make up for the absence of chakra, I guess, said Naruto, looking at someone holding some sort of screen the size of a tablet and pressing the screen with his finger as it made different sounds. Suddenly his nose picked up a familiar scent which made him drool. Could it be? Please let it be so. Naruto dashed off at high speed while tracking the scent. After running through the streets, he skidded around a corner and came upon a sight that made him cry tears of joy and Kurama groan in exasperation. 10 minutes later, he was sitting in front of a noodle stall eating his 10th bowl of ramen, much to the shock of the chef. Wow, kid, you really love noodles. Of course, ramen is the food of the gods that can even transcend dimensions. I need my faith in it wasn't misplaced, said Naruto with sparkles in his eyes. Seriously, Kit, if you don't die on the battlefield, then I'm sure you would die from overeating ramen, said Kurama seriously. You should try eating other foods. Well, I do, but to me ramen will always be my number one favorite, thought Naruto. After eating 3 more bowls, he paid for the ramen and turned to leave, but he stopped and looked behind with a smirk. Just to let you know. Then he spoke in a deep voice, I'll be back. The chef simply stared and had one thought in mind, that he should stock on ingredients when he does come back and eat at his stall. Hey Kurama, what do you think the princess is like? Asked Naruto, who was currently on top of a tall bell tower and enjoying the view of the city. She must be a good ruler, judging by the way the city is flourishing, and I don't sense any negativity with my emotion sensor, said Kurama. Anyway, there's something that I want to ask you, so could you come in here? Naruto quirked an eyebrow before sending his consciousness into his mindscape to meet the fox. So what's up, Kurama? What is it you want to ask? Could change your mindscape into something else? 16 years in a sewer can drive anyone nuts, and I don't think I can take any more, said Kurama. Naruto looked around and saw how dreary the place is. You're right, so how do I go about it? Asked Naruto. This place is created by your subconsciousness, so all you have to do is think of what you want it to be. Naruto closed his eyes and started to concentrate, then the sewer disappeared in a flash of white. Then it faded to reveal them standing in a grass clearing with a large lake nearby and a lush forest nearby. It may not be much, but I hope that it will do. Thanks a lot, Kit. It may not be the outside, but it's way better than the sewer. I can move about freely now, said Kurama, who shrunk to the size of a horse before stretching his body. No problem, buddy. "So what do we do now since we still have a lot time before tonight?" asked Naruto. "We could some training. I'm going to teach you how to use your senses, claws and tails in battles since it would be a waste if you don't. You could integrate your claws and tails into your already unpredictable fighting style to perform maneuvers to confuse your opponents, and your fox instincts would help you detect enemies among other things." By the time Kurama had finished talking, Naruto already looked raring to get started on his training. "Well, what are we waiting for? Let's this show on the road." He took a stance with his legs apart, his left hand balled into a fist and positioned at his chest, and his right hand thrust forward with his claws out. Kurama crouched low and faced Naruto with a foxy grin on his face. They stood still for a while, then as if a signal sounded they charged at each other with excitement in their eyes. During the training, Naruto learned how to incorporate slashes and tail attack into his taijutsu, which he calls the fox's claw style, which Kurama took a liking to the name, and his fox-like instinct made him much unpredictable than before. He also created some more techniques of the swift release as well, which he could mix with his attacks. Soon the night had fallen and the buildings and towers were all lit up. Fireworks were on display in the night to produce a festive mood, and many people were standing on both sides of a large sea beach, with a few of them standing on boats, as they await the princess's royal procession. Naruto stood amongst the crowd as they waited in excitement. "Everyone is in a celebratory mood, don't you think, Kurama?" thought Naruto, and he heard Kurama grunt in agreement when someone from among the crowd spoke up. "Look! Here come Princess Elise." Naruto looked down the sea beach as the crowd started to cheer to see a large silver boat which was designed to look like the wings of a bird rowing into view. Dancers dressed in yellow were on the deck, and on the bow stood a teenage girl with short red hair with feather crown on it. She wore a white dress with feather trim, and white evening gloves reaching to her elbows, and a pantyhose with red high heels. "So that's Princess Elise. She's quite pretty if you ask me," said Naruto as he watched the princess wave at the crowd. "Looks like you inherited your father's infatuation with redheads," said Kurama with a mischievous grin, making Naruto blush in embarrassment, as he had complimented his mom's red hair when he met her chakra memory during the time he trying to take Kurama's chakra. "Quit joshing me, Kurama, and besides, I'm not human anymore," thought Naruto before he turned his attention back to the boat, which had rowed across the sea beach until it came to a stop before an altar. Kurama frowned a bit as he thought he had sensed two energy signatures from the princess. One was faint as if sealed away, while the other was emitting a lot of it, but decided to think about it later. Princess Elise stepped off the boat and climbed up the stairs to meet the bishop. Then one of the servants passed on a torch to her. When Princess Elise stared into the flames, her eyes glazed over as if her mind wandered elsewhere, until one of the servants called out to her. Soon the whole place was silent as the princess started to speak. "We give thanks to the blessed flames. May we always continue to have peace. Son of Solana, guide and watch over us with your eternal light." Then she stepped forward and placed the torch onto the altar, which lit up in flames to signify the beginning of the festival, as fireworks were launched into the air again, and everyone started cheering. Naruto smiled happily at the speech and wondered if the elemental nations was now in peace as well. Suddenly, something flew through the air and crashed into the buildings, causing explosions and destruction around, which made the people start to panic. "What the hell's going on here?" shouted Naruto, looking around for the source of the attacks. Then he ran up the side of a building till he reached the rooftop and looked up to the dark sky to see a large airship which was descending from amongst the clouds. A hatch opened up and several of those metal puppets that Naruto saw earlier before dropped out and landed on the altar, surrounding the princess and her servants with no way of escape. "Kit, it seems someone is after the princess, and we're about to find out who," said Kurama, who was watching through Naruto's eyes as a smaller airship descended towards the altar. On it is a bald-headed man with a long mustache and wearing black glasses, red turtleneck coat with white trim, yellow cuffs and gold circular buttons, black one-piece pants/boots with silver accents and buttons, and a pair of white cuffless gloves. "A pleasure to meet you at last, Princess of Solana. I am Dr. Eggman. I've come here to obtain the secret of the flames of disaster from you, and to take the miracle gems that are the key to its secret, the Chaos Emerald," said the man. Flames of disaster? Chaos emeralds? I may not what they are, but they sound like something that should not be in his possession, said Naruto as he got ready to jump in and save the princess until Kurama called out to him. Hey Kit, I'm sensing someone approaching them at speeds even higher than yours. Is it hostile? Asked Naruto. No, I don't sense any negative emotions from it. Then a blue wind started swirling around the altar until they heard someone talk above them. That's a pretty snazzy performance. They turned to see an anthropomorphic blue-bodied hedgehog with quills that curved down with tan muzzle, arms and a circle on the torso with a black nose. He also wears red sneakers with a white strap, cuff and gold buckle each and a pair of white gloves. When Princess Elise took a look at the hedgehog, she rather saw a white hedgehog in his place. It couldn't be. Not you again, get him! Eggman growled out. The mech started shooting at the hedgehog only for him to dodge by leaping into the air. Then he started attacking them at speeds which they couldn't react to before he stopped before the last one, which was standing at the edge, and tapped it with his foot, causing it to fall over. Then he ran back to the princess and stood there while wagging an index finger while grinning. I'm Sonic the Hedgehog. You always get in my way, all mechs attack. At Eggman's command, the robots approached them, but before they got any closer, a diamond-shaped knife with a hoop at the handle landed between them, much to their confusion. Who is it now? That would be me. They turned to the voice to see an anthropomorphic nine-tailed fox with orange fur and black whisker marks, wearing a black headband, an orange sleeveless hoodie vest, black cargo shorts and orange high-top sneakers. Who are you? Asked Eggman. My name's Naruto Uzumaki, a ninja. I didn't like what you were doing, so I'm here to stop you, said Naruto as he walked to the knife and picked it up before turning to face the man. Is that so? All mechs attack that fox, shouted Eggman. Naruto looked behind him and called out, get the princess out of here while I take care of these guys. Okay, I don't know who you are, but thanks for the help. Sonic quickly picked Elise in a bridal carry and took off at high speed, leaving Naruto behind with Dr. Eggman and his machines. None of them knew that someone else was watching the hedgehog run off with determination in his eyes. I finally found him. The Iblis Trigger. Shadow Clone Jutsu. In a puff of smoke, 5 clones appeared and stood at the ready. Get these people out of here. Nodding in affirmation to his command, the clones grabbed the bishop and servants and carried them to safety. I don't know who you are. You've already proven yourself a threat to my plans, said Dr. Eggman as the mechs began to attack. Naruto twirled his kunai before holding it in reverse and charging forward to engage the enemies. One of the machines rapidly fired bullet, but Naruto quickly defended himself by using the swift release to speed up his reflexes as he deflected the shots to hit the other machines, making them explode. Another shot a missile from behind. The fox sensed this and leapt into the air. Then he dived at the mech with a quick Rasengan in his free hand and rammed it into the machine, turning it into scrap metal. Several mechs surrounded him. Then Naruto grabbed some of his kunai from the pouch and tossed them into the air. He jumped them and used his tails to grab them through the hoops before spinning around and flinging them at the mechs. Then he put his hands together into a ram hand sign and pulsed his chakra. The papers that were wrapped around the handles lit up in flames before exploding, taking out the mechs. Wrapping this up. Swift release. Bladed shadow dance. Naruto channeled wind chakra into his kunai and ran through the mechs at speeds fast enough to leave afterimages before skidding to a stop at where he started. When he placed the kunai back in its holster, the mechs fell apart in pieces. He looked around to himself standing in the middle of destroyed mechs, but there was no sign of Dr. Eggman. Where did he go? He must have gone after that hedgehog and princess while using those machines to keep you occupied, said Kurama. Damn, I gotta hurry over there fast. Naruto sped in direction of where Sonic in hopes of getting there before anything happens. With Sonic and Elise. Sonic was running through the streets with Elise in his arms as they attempt to get away from Dr. Eggman. Why are you helping me? Asked Elise. No special reason. And I'm sure I can say the same for that guy from earlier, Sonic replied. Then he leapt over a sea beat, but then a group of mechs landed before them. Sonic placed Elise on the ground before dashing at the machines and quickly taking them out with his homing attacks. But then he heard Elise cry out and turned around to see her being grabbed by a mechanical arm that's attached to Eggman's ship, which started to ascend towards his larger ship. Sonic, take this. Elise wiggled an arm out of the machine's grip and threw a blue gem towards Sonic, who caught it. I got it. And don't worry, I'll rescue you, said Sonic. Then someone landed next him and saw that it was the fox from earlier. You mean we? Said Naruto with Sonic nodding in affirmation. I know, said Elise. Humph, it's only a matter of time before it's mine. Until then, you can hold on to it for me, said Eggman. Then he turned to face Naruto, and I'll deal with you later. Then they watched as the doctor entered the ship with the princess before it flew away to who knows where. Sonic turned to face the nine-tailed fox. So you're ninja, huh? You wouldn't happen to know a chameleon by the name Espio? 'Cause he's a ninja too, said Sonic. Nope, I don't know anyone by that name, but I'd sure like to meet a fellow ninja, said Naruto, becoming interested in how ninjas operate around here. Then he noticed the gem in his hand. What's that you're holding? Kurama was also interested as he could sense high amounts of energy coming from it. This is a Chaos Emerald that Elise gave to me before she was taken away so that Eggman wouldn't get it. A Chaos Emerald? Naruto looked confused. You don't know what a Chaos Emerald is? Asked a surprised Sonic and received a nod in return. Well, no one knows they came from and they've been around for several millennia. But there are 7 Chaos Emeralds of different colors that contains mystical properties and contain unlimited amounts of chaos energy. Each one contains unlimited power, but when one combines all 7 emeralds, he gains ultimate power and unlimited. Naruto and Kurama stood there with shock on there, as it almost sounds what would have happened if Madara had fused all of the bijou together to form the Jubi, something he was able to stop before it happened. Many times, Eggman had been going after the emeralds to rule the world with me and my friends to stop him. There are times when I use the power of the emeralds to transform into a super state to fight him. But after using all the 7 emeralds, they would normally scatter themselves, so you'll have to search for them again. It must some kind of failsafe to prevent someone from using it repeatedly, said Kurama with a thoughtful look. It seems that the Chaos Emeralds isn't the only that he's after. I overheard him mention something about learning the secret of the flames of disaster from Elise, so we'd better hurry and rescue her before anything bad happens, said Naruto. No problem, this will be done in no time, said Sonic before smirking at Naruto. Think you can keep up? Naruto smirked back at the hedgehog. I should be asking you that question. Hehehe, you and I will get along just fine. Let's juice. Both Sonic and Naruto sped off in search of clues to where Eggman may have gone to in order to rescue Princess Elise. It was now daytime in the city of Solana. Sonic and Naruto, with the help of his shadow clones, were running around asking people for information about the whereabouts of Eggman's ship. So far they were only able to gather bits and pieces from the citizens. Right now they're at a fountain to talk about what they've learned so far. I've gotta admit, you're pretty fast on your feet. You and I will have a race one of these days after we give Eggman a pounding, said Sonic with a smirk. Sure thing, I'll be looking forward to it, said Naruto with a foxy grin. He found a kin in the hedgehog for their love for speed and the heart to help people. So let's find out what we've learned from the citizens so far. From what the clones and I have gathered, majority of the citizens say that they've seen Eggman's ship fly in direction of the seaside, said Naruto. The same here, there's a gateway to Wave Ocean. It can transport us there in no time, said Sonic. Alrighty then, lead the way. The 2 speedsters were about to run towards the gateway when they heard a voice which sounded familiar to Sonic. Sonic! They turned to the voice to see someone running towards them, which caught Naruto and Kurama's interest. He is a yellow-orange anthropomorphic fox with 2 tails. He wears a pair of white gloves and socks with gray fasteners, and a pair of red sneakers with white toes and gray soles. Hey Tails, Long time no see, said Sonic with a smile. It's great to see you too, said Tails happily. Then he turned his attention to Naruto, who gave a silent wave. Who is that? My name is Naruto Uzumaki, a shinobi or a ninja to be simpler, said Naruto. My name is Miles Proud, but my friends call me Tails because of my two tails, though I see that you have more tails than me. That's because I'm a nine-tailed fox, but it's nice to meet a fellow fox, said Naruto with a smile while waving his tails. It's nice to meet you too, said Tails. Then he turned back to Sonic. I've heard that you tried to save their princess from Dr. Eggman. Yeah, I did, and Naruto showed up to help out, but old Eggy managed to get to her and escape, said Sonic. Not only that, he kidnapped the princess to learn about some sort of secret to something called the Flames of Disaster, and control it while using the power of the Chaos Emeralds, said Naruto. The two of you are going to rescue her, right? Let me help. Whatever plans that Eggman has to do with those things can't be a good thing, said Tails. Sure thing, Tails. With your help this will be a piece of cake, said Sonic with a thumbs up. Then he turned to Naruto. Tails has always been helping me out on my adventures, so I always know that he's got my back. Plus he's your go-to guy when it comes to technological stuff. Okay then, let's head to the gateway which will take us to Wave Ocean. They say Eggman's ship had been sighted there, said Naruto. Okay, I'll do my best, said Tails. Then they took off in direction towards the gateway with Naruto and Sonic running while Tails was keeping up with them by spinning his twin tails quickly, which made him fly in the air much to Naruto's surprise. Whoa, how did you do that with your tails? That's so cool, said Naruto with stars in his eyes. Tails felt a bit embarrassed from how Naruto was looking at him. Well, I always knew how to do it ever since I was younger. I wonder if I can do the same thing too? Thought Naruto. It won't work, Naruto, especially since you have too many tails. They'll end up getting entangled and you crashing on the ground, said Kurama. Darn, and here I thought that I would be able to fly. You forgot that you can already fly. Yeah, but that's when I'm in the 6 paths mode, and right now you're fixing my chakra coils. I forgot to tell you that since you've unlocked the 6 paths mode, you can fly in both the chakra mode and bija mode. I can't wait to try them out. The trio kept running until they came to one of the ports. Tails pointed across the water to a large cliff wall. The gateway to Wave Ocean is over there, said Tails. Naruto looked to see a hollowed-out cave, and inside it is some sort of shrine that holds a large mirror which was displaying the image of a beach. Once we pass through the mirror, it will teleport us there. Alright guys, let's go. Sonic saw a trail of rings leading to the other side. He jumped towards the rings and quickly dashed along them to the other side while collecting the rings. Tails jumped into the air and flew over. Swift release, shadowless flight. Naruto leapt into the air and dashed to the other side while leaving behind afterimages till he landed at the entrance with the others. That's a pretty slick move, it's just like my jump dash, said Sonic looking impressed. Thanks, it's part of my abilities and I'm still training with it, said Naruto. Anyway, let's get going. With that, the trio jumped into the mirror and found themselves floating through a void tunnel until they reached the other side. Exiting from the tunnel, Naruto and the others found themselves standing on a cliff that was overlooking a tropical beach with large bodies of water and small islands scattered around. Tails flew high into the air to get a better scope of the area before descending to the ground. The whole place is overrun with Eggman's mechs, but I didn't see the egg carrier anywhere. We should split up to cover more ground, that way we can find where the princess is kept, said Sonic. Add in busting up some mechs and we'll call it a plan, said Naruto with a smirk which was mirrored by Sonic. Sure thing, Tails and I will go in this direction and you will go in the other direction. Sonic took off down the cliff wall and jumped onto a nearby spring which bounced him towards an island. Good luck, Naruto, said Tails before flying off to follow Sonic. Alright then, let's go save a princess, said Naruto with a smirk. Like always, said Kurama. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST. Wave Ocean the Water's Edge. Naruto leapt off the edge of the cliff and started running down the cliff wall before running on the water with chakra channeled to his feet till he reached an island. Upon reaching the small island, he heard a whirring sound and looked up to see a squadron of Eggman's robots descending from the sky towards him. Naruto simply smirked and took out a kunai which he channeled chakra into it. Let's send these walking hunks of metal to the scrapyard. Then he dashed towards them, all the while deflecting the metal projectiles which he now knows as bullets with the kunai. He slashed through all of the mechs as they fell apart before he continued onwards. He stepped on a dash panel which launched him forward as he ran through a loop before speeding on the water to nearby pier holding a spring. He bounced on the spring towards a horizontal bar that was held up by two vertical poles, spinning on it several times before letting go to send himself flying into the air to land on an upper ledge, but he was greeted with more of Eggman's robots, except these ones seemed to be designed after crabs, and they're holding some glowing orange balls. I wonder what those balls are about, wondered Naruto. One of the robots threw the ball at him, but he jumped away just as the ball exploded. I guess that answers my question, so here's my reply. Naruto took out an exploding tag and wrapped on the handle of his kunai and was about to throw it when Kurama spoke up. Hey kid, throw the kunai at that oddly colored robot among the group, said Kurama. Naruto looked amongst the robots and saw that only one was colored red while the rest were white. He threw the kunai at it, resulting in its destruction, which in turn caused the rest to explode as well. It seems like the red one was the leader, so when you destroyed him, it also led to the destruction of the rest, said Kurama. An army without a leader will fall into disarray. I guess it really works, said Naruto. Then he continued onwards. He ran to the end of the ledge and stepped on a dash which sent him flying towards a lighthouse. Thinking quickly, Naruto flipped in midair before planting his feet onto the wall of the lighthouse and then kicked off it towards a large rock sticking out of the water and bounced off it as well. Then Naruto went through a multicolored ring which sent him somersaulting onto a long thin metal bar, as he proceeded to grind along it till he reached the end before jumping off to land on a nearby seashore. More of the mechs arrived to attack him, but Naruto stood at the ready shadow clone jutsu. There was a puff of smoke which cleared to reveal 5 copies of Naruto as they drew out kunai from their holsters before charging forward to engage the enemy. One of the mechs shot a missile at Naruto. He decided to gamble on the next move as he used his tails to wrap around it. Then he spun on his axis before letting go of the missile, sending it flying back and destroying the robot. That was pretty risky, but a good move nonetheless, said Kurama, to which Naruto smirked at. He turned to see his other clones finishing off the remaining mechs with a quick Rasengan or exploding tags, before he started to look around for any trace of the egg carrier. Darn it, we've been looking all over the place but still no luck. I hope Sonic and Tails are having better luck than us. Then he suddenly heard an explosion from somewhere close by and dashed over to see what it is. He sent chakra to his feet as he ran up to a ledge and looked over to see something interesting beside the seashore. He was seeing a mini tornado made out of flames that was attacking a group of mechs. The robots were shooting at it, but the bullets were being melted by the flames as they were destroyed. Music end. When there were no more enemies around, the tornado stopped spinning and the flames dissipated to reveal someone standing there. She's a lilac cat with gold eyes and the tip of her tail being dark purple and a small gem on her forehead. She wears a long purple flared mantle-like coat of sorts with a gold collar and white tights. The cuffs are fuzzy and white. She wears dark pink high-heeled shoes with white straps and fluffy cuffs. I wonder who she is? Thought Naruto. He was shaken out of his thoughts when he heard a feminine voice call out. I know you're here, so come out from hiding, said the cat. Naruto was surprised as he was sure that he hid his chakra signature before jumping off the ledge to land before her. Who are you? The name's Naruto Uzumaki. What's yours? Asked Naruto. I am Blaze the cat, she replied stoically. Blaze, huh? That a nice name. It really suits you, said Naruto. Flattery will get you nowhere. I'm not trying to flatter you. I really meant it when I said that your name suits you because of your ability to wield fire, said Naruto with a smile, Blaze was surprised for a bit since she had never been complimented before, then she took on a stoic look again. But why were Eggman's robots after you? I don't know why, but they will not get in the way of my mission. A mission? Asked Naruto with a quirked eyebrow. It does not concern you, and you wouldn't believe me anyway, said Blaze. Who knows, maybe I can help you, said Naruto. Kid, don't forget the reason why we're here, said Kurama. Of course I haven't forgotten, thought Naruto. Blaze looked at the fox for any signs of deception and didn't find any. Then she started to speak. I came from the future with a friend. In my time, we live in darkness, and every day is a struggle just to live. All because of the flames of disaster that burns away at our world and destroys everything in their path. These flames come from an eternal life form known as Iblis. Naruto and Kurama were shocked to hear that the future ended up like that. How did this happen? We were told that someone was responsible for awakening the flames of disaster, the Iblis trigger. With the help of Mafils, we traveled back to this time to stop him and hopefully change the future, but we somehow separated during the time travel, said Blaze. It sounds as if Eggman is the Iblis trigger, don't you think so, Kurama? Thought Naruto. It may seem so, but let's ask her just to make sure, said Kurama. Do you know anything more about this Iblis trigger? All that we know is that the Iblis trigger is a blue hedgehog, said Blaze. Naruto's eyes widened in surprise at what he heard. That can't be true. Sonic doesn't seem like the kind of guy that wants to destroy the world. I didn't sense any kind of darkness in him, he thought. I don't think she's lying either. It's possible that she's been misinformed. I think we shouldn't let her know about Sonic's whereabouts and hope that her friend doesn't find him either, said Kurama, to which Naruto nodded in affirmation. He snapped out of his thoughts to see Blaze looking at him confusedly. Are you all right? You seemed a bit distracted, said Blaze. Sorry about that, Nico. I tend to zone out whenever I'm thinking, said Naruto while rubbing the back of his head sheepishly. It's okay, but why are you calling me Nico? Where I came from, it means cat in my language. Sorry if it offends you. Oh no, I was just curious about the meaning. Anyway, if I find out anything about the Iblis trigger, I'll be sure to let you know, said Naruto. Thank you very much, I hope to see you again. With that said, Blaze took off into the distance with Naruto looking on. Nico, huh? Are you by any chance smitten with her to the point of calling her that? Said Kurama with mischievous grin. Naruto was blushing red and started sputtering. What do you mean? It's nothing like that. Sure, whatever helps you sleep at night, but what do you think of what she said? Like I said before, Sonic doesn't seem to be that kind of guy. Which could mean that there's a hidden player in this game and he's targeting Sonic, so we'll have to keep quiet about this for a while in order to avoid raising suspicion. Naruto heard a whirring sound and turned to see the egg carrier flying off. Eggman must have known that we were coming. Let's go after him. Naruto took off after the ship in hopes of catching up to it. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST. Wave Ocean the Inlet. Ever since Sonic and Tails split up from Naruto in search of Princess Elise, he had been destroying Eggman's mechs and searching through the islands. But then he and Tails had to work together to stop an orca from leaving the coast before resuming the search. Somehow Eggman must have gotten word that he was coming as Sonic saw the egg carrier take off and pursued it. Darn, we're not going to make it. Let's speed up. Sonic started running along the beach, but Eggman mechs were flying overhead and shooting at him, forcing him to take evasive action. Dang it. I can't let these guys slow me down. The robots were about to open fire again when several diamond-shaped knives hit them before exploding, taking down any other near them. Sonic turned to see someone running on the water towards him and recognized who it is. Hey Naruto, thanks for the save, said Sonic. No problem, Sonic. Let's catch up with Eggman, said Naruto, to which Sonic nodded in agreement. Together they started running after the ship. They ran on the beach while avoiding the rocky obstacles along the way. Several more mechs appeared above them and started shooting again. Naruto reached into his pouch and took out a handful of shuriken and channeled chakra into them before throwing them at the mechs, which slashed through their wings, sending them crashing to the ground. They ran up a bridge and headed towards a dash ramp. Sonic stepped on it and launched himself towards the large rocks and proceeded to jump off them to get across the water. But Naruto jumped over the dash ramp and ran on the water, much to Sonic's surprise. They reached the other side of the shore and ran into a grove of coconut trees. "Whoa, how did you do that?" asked Sonic. "I channeled my energy to my feet, which allowed me to walk on water without sinking into," said Naruto. "That's pretty cool. I wish I could do that." "You can't swim?" "Something like that. Whenever I step into the water, I sink like a stone. But I can overcome it by running very fast on it," said Sonic. He looked back to see Eggman's robots behind them and ready to open fire on them. "Let's lose these guys." "You got it!" The duo ran even faster while weaving through the groove. The mech tried to keep up, but they ended up crashing into the coconut trees. They exited from the groove and saw that the egg carrier had gotten further ahead and ran through a spiral loop which ended with a dash ramp, sending them kicking off large rocks again. However, a large mountain stood in their way, forcing Naruto and Sonic to skid to a stop and watch the egg carrier fly away. Music end. "Darn, he got away!" Naruto growled in anger. A feather floated down and landed at their feet, with Sonic picking it up. That feather is part of Elise's crown. "Naruto, Sonic!" They turned to see Tails running up to them. "I hacked into the memory of one of Dr. Eggman's robot to learn that he was moving the princess to another location, but the memory was too damaged to learn more. I think we should head back to the city and plan our next move." "You're right. We can't do any more around here," said Sonic. Then the trio headed back to the gateway in order to return to the city. Naruto, Sonic, and Tails were walking through the streets of the city, thinking of any leads to Eggman's whereabouts. They were snacking on some chili dogs that they bought thanks to the rings which they collected back at Wave Ocean. Naruto wanted to buy some ramen but decided to try out the chili dogs, which he found to be tasty, but still considered ramen to be the #1 food in his book. "You got any information about where Eggman could be?" asked Sonic while munching on a chili dog. Naruto finished his before replying, "Nope. So far I've got nothing from the memories of my shadow clones," said Naruto. Then suddenly he received a memory from the last of his clones which saw something that caught his attention. "Hey guys, come on. I think someone's in trouble." "Okay, let's go." Naruto led the way with Sonic and Tails following close behind until they saw a group of civilians standing there and looking upwards. They also looked up to see a young girl standing on the roof of a tall building and was crying. "We have to get up there and help her get down," said Tails worriedly. "Don't worry you guys, I got this." Naruto jumped towards the wall and started walking vertically up the building to the surprise of everyone present. "Wow, I've never seen a ninja do that except for Espio, who is a chameleon." "Well, Naruto did something like this before and was about to run on water without sinking, unlike me." By then, Naruto had reached the top of the building and was approaching the girl to try and calm her down. "Hey, are you okay?" "I'm fine, and I'm sorry for making you worry," said the girl. "It's okay, but why are you up here?" "I heard Eggman was going to the desert, so I just wanted to keep watch from a high place." "Okay then, I'll help you get down from here since the people are getting worried." Naruto carried the girl and walked down the side of the building and placed her on the ground, much to the relief of everybody. "Good job on helping that kid out," said Sonic with a thumbs up. "It was nothing, though thanks to that I was able to get some good info," said Naruto. "What do you mean?" asked Tails. "Turns out that Eggman was last heard moving towards the desert. Got any idea where exactly?" "That sounds like the Dusty Desert. I'll show you the gateway," said Tails before running off with Naruto and Sonic close behind. Meanwhile, Princess Elise was sitting in the room of an old ruin in the desert thinking about the words her father told her before he died. "You're a good girl, Elise. Remember to be brave and don't cry, no matter what happens." She was startled out of her thoughts when a wall near her collapsed and saw 3 figures walk through the newly made hole and recognized them to be Naruto and Sonic with a 2-tailed fox who peeked out from behind and waved at her. Mr. Sonic and Mr. Naruto. Elise happily ran over and hugged Sonic. No need for the Mr., as it makes us feel kind of old. Are you okay? Said Sonic. I'm so glad that you came, said Elise. We promised that we would save you, and when we make a promise, we will definitely keep it, said Naruto, smiling with Sonic nodding in agreement. That you always do, said Kurama with a smile. Sonic, Naruto, we've got trouble, said Tails. Naruto and Sonic immediately stood in front of Princess Elise protectively to see Eggman standing before them with a large, black and red dog-like robot with a red antennae and a visor which opened up to reveal a single red eye. It looks like some pesky rats have stuffed their nose where it doesn't belong. Well, a hedgehog and 2 foxes to be precise, said Eggman. It can't be helped, we foxes tend to be quite curious sometimes, said Naruto with a smirk, Kurama grinning as well as Tails giggling a bit. Well, it doesn't matter, the princess is mine until I unlock the secret of the flames of disaster, and you 3 will serve as an early breakfast for my pet. Eggman turned to the giant robot egg Cerberus. Attack! Cerberus unleashed a loud howl and charged at them. We've got to get out of here. There's not enough room to fight it here, said Tails. Naruto quickly took out a kunai with an exploding tag and threw at the wall behind them, which blew up to reveal another hole. Come on, this way. Naruto ran through the hole with Sonic carrying Elise and Tails flying behind them. They were running through the halls of the ancient ruins and could hear Cerberus chasing them from behind. They went round a corner to find themselves at a dead end. It's a dead end. Naruto stepped forward and held his palm out. Don't worry, Tails. When you can't find a way, then you make one. Then blue energy started to form into a spinning ball and he charged forward and slammed it into the wall, completely destroying it. They went through to find themselves standing in an arena. Looks like we've got enough elbow room to play with Eggman's pet, said Sonic, setting Elise down. Tails, you protect the princess while Naruto and I deal with Cerberus. You got it, Sonic, said Tails as he flew over to Elise. They heard a loud roar and turned to see Cerberus break through the wall, and was growling at them. Music start, Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Boss, Egg Cerberus and Egenesis. Let's go! Sonic and Naruto with him getting ahead first. Cerberus stood on its hind legs and brought its forelegs down on them. Sonic quickly darted out of the way while Naruto did a backflip before jumping into the air, where he formed a quick Rasengan and dived at it, ramming the attack on the visor. But the jutsu only inflicted so much as several scratches before Cerberus shook its head and sent Naruto flying and landing on his feet. Damn it, the quick Rasengan won't be able to do much damage on that metal mutt. Kurama, can I use my true Rasengan yet? Thought Naruto. I'm repairing your chakra coils as fast as I can, just give me more time. Now pay attention, that metal dog is coming at you, said Kurama. Naruto snapped out of his thoughts to see Cerberus charging towards him. Swift release, shadow dance. He dashed forward while weaving through its legs and appeared at the other side, confusing Cerberus, who had lost sight of its target and was looking around. Sonic saw this as a chance and dashed forward. Then he grinded up on Cerberus's tail and leapt to grab the neon road, which is its antennae. This caused the machine to freak out and buck around like a wild horse with Sonic holding on. Sonic, make it run into something! Tails shouted out. Sonic heard him steered Cerberus right into a wall, jumping away into the air before the impact and landing beside Naruto, who gave him a thumbs up. Good move, that dealt a lot of damage, so let's keep this going, said Naruto. Cerberus got up and shook its head before it turned and growled angrily at the speeding duo. Then it charged at them and tried to bite them. Naruto took out a black pellet from his pouch and threw it to the ground, creating a smokescreen. Cerberus ran through the cloud only to find that neither of them were there. At that moment Naruto was coming in from the left with a windmill shuriken in hand, which he threw at the head. When the shuriken got close, There was a burst of smoke which faded to reveal Naruto, who grabbed the antennae, and the Naruto who threw was a clone as it disappeared. Now it's my turn. Naruto twisted the neon rod, forcing Cerberus to run around blindly, unaware that the shinobi was steering it right into a statue, and crashed into it, destroying the visor. "Hey, we can finally see its face. Now to finish this up," said Sonic. Cerberus got up again, then it leapt out of the arena and stood on a circular ledge, then it started running along with Naruto and Sonic, keeping a close eye on it. "We've got to be careful this time. I don't think it will fall for the same trick thrice," said Naruto. "You're right, that means we need to deal a one-hit KO on it, but how?" said Sonic. Naruto was about to reply when Kurama spoke up. "Hey Kit, I've repaired your chakra coils enough to use the full power of your Rasengan as well as use a certain technique." "What certain technique?" asked Naruto. "I prefer that you figure it out." "Darn it, Furball, this isn't the time for guessing games." Naruto heads up. Naruto looked up to see that Cerberus had leapt from the ledge and was coming down towards Naruto, and Sonic dashed away just in time to avoid the impact as well as the shockwave which rattled the entire arena. "I'll distract him while you find a way up to that antennae again." Naruto crossed his fingers and this time was able to summon at least 20 of his clones. The clones charged at Cerberus and started attacking it with kunais and shurikens, which enraged the mechanical beast as it stared, swiping at them with its metal claws. Few were able to evade the frenzied attacks while some others were hit hard enough to be dispelled. Sonic was running along the edge of the arena and started picking up speed, enough to be able to run on the walls itself. Quickly seeing a chance when Cerberus lowered its tail, Sonic kicked off the wall and was able to grind on Cerberus's tail before grabbing the antennae. He tried to run the mechanical dog into the walls again, but Cerberus was ready this time and would turn away whenever it get close to one. "Humph! Listen to me!" Sonic grunted as he tried to control it. "Sonic, let it this way." Sonic looked to see Naruto standing with his clones as they were forming another one of those spinning balls of energy, except this one was a bit bigger. Sonic steered Cerberus in Naruto's direction, then the clones grabbed hold of Naruto and flung him into the air. "Take this, giant Rasengan." Sonic jumped out of the way just as Naruto rammed his jutsu into Cerberus's head, grinding through the metal and completely destroying it as the robot dog collapsed to the ground and lay there unmoving. Music end. "Looks like we were able to teach it how to play dead," said Sonic with a smirk. "Yeah, and it almost makes it look like it's really dead," said Naruto in agreement. "You guys were amazing," said Tails excitedly with Elise walking up to them. "You two are really strong to be able to defeat it," said Elise. "Thanks for the compliment, but right now we need to get out of here and return to the city," said Naruto. "You're right, let's get going." Sonic picked up Elise in a bridal carry, and they ran out of the stadium and soon exited the ruins. But then a squadron of Eggman's mechs appeared from the sky and were in pursuit of them. "How long is this gonna go on?" "Let's split up. I'll grab their attention while you take the princess back to the city," said Tails. "I'll stay behind with Tails. With my shadow clones, I'll be able to keep them busy for a while," said Naruto. "Okay, you guys had better be careful," said Sonic. "Good luck and please be safe," said Elise. "Don't worry about us, we'll meet up with you guys later," said Naruto. The foxes turned around to face the mechs while Sonic continued to run with Elise. "Let's go them what we got, Tails." "I'll do my best," said Tails. Meanwhile, the white hedgehog was walking through the desert, following a pink female hedgehog who excitedly running ahead and looking around. "I can sense Sonic's presence around here, call it my girlish intuition," said the pink hedgehog. Then she turned to the white hedgehog. "Don't worry, as soon as I find Sonic, I'll help you find who you're looking for, Silver." "Thanks," said the newly named Silver. Then he looked around. "This place is so beautiful, and everyone is happy." "What do you mean?" "Never mind, let's go. I'll help you find who you're looking for, said Silver as he ran off with the pink hedgehog following him. Once I find and destroy the Iblis trigger, then the future can be changed to be just like this. Jutsu list. Swift release, shadow dash. The user dashes through midair while leaving a trail of afterimages to confuse the opponents. This can be used a few times while in midair to change directions. Shadow dance. The user moves around at high speeds leaving a trail of afterimages, useful for moving through multiple opponents, evading attacks, and can also act as an offensive when using a weapon. Naruto and Tails were currently charging at the squadron of mechs in order to serve as a distraction for Sonic and Princess Elise to get away. Remember, Tails, we're only going to destroy a few to grab their attention and hold them back for a while before we pull out and return to the city to meet up with Sonic and the princess. You got it, Naruto, said Tails as he took out capsule-containing rings while flying. Yosh! Let get wild! Music start, Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Dusty Desert Quicksand. Naruto got to the group as the white humanoid mechs aimed at him and opened fire. Naruto darted left and right to avoid the shots while using a kunai to deflect any that almost got to him. Swift release, bladed shadow dance. He sped up, leaving behind afterimages as he weaved in and out of the mechs while slashing with his kunai. Another group of the humanoid mechs showed up, but they're colored red and had some sort of cannons on their arms. They aimed and shot rockets which raced towards him. Naruto flipped over them quickly but was surprised to see that they turned around in midair and headed towards him again. Then a capsule containing rings intercepted them and got hit, which released the rings inside to hit the other missiles, causing them to spark with electricity before exploding. Naruto looked up to see Tails flying above him with another capsule in his hand. Thanks for the assist, Tails. No problem, Naruto, there's more ahead of us, said Tails, pointing in a certain direction. Got it, let's go. Naruto ran forward with Tails close behind. He ran through some ruins and those crab-like mechs sticking to the walls and more of those humanoid mechs aiming their guns at him. He could see some sort of cage made of blue energy behind them. Naruto, those mechs seem to be protecting that cage for some reason. Maybe if we take care of them, the cage will open. Then let's get to it. You take care of the wall crawlers while I handle the firing squad. Tails nodded in affirmation and then charged at the crab mechs who saw him and threw their bombs. He flew up into the air to avoid the explosions, then he took aim at them and threw a capsule which destroyed some of the crab mechs while the rest fell to the ground and the bits of dummy rings fell on them, damaging them further. Score. Tails pumped his fist in victory. Naruto ran forward and slid between the legs of one of the mechs and slammed an exploding tag on the ground. He jumped away and formed a ram hand seal before pulsing his chakra, which made the tag catch fire before exploding, which destroyed any mechs nearby. Then the cage opened up to reveal a spring. They bounced off it to reach higher ground and kept on moving until they ran into a fleet of robots that are built for flying. Naruto threw chakra-infused shurikens at them while Tails did the same with his dummy rings to bring them down. They reached the edge of the ruin and there was a bottomless pit in the middle of the path. And there was no wall for Naruto to use and he couldn't jump far enough. Tails flew above him and called out, Naruto, grab on. I'll carry you over to the other side. Naruto jumped and held onto his hands as they flew over the pit and got to the other side before Tails got too tired to continue flying. Thanks for the lift, said Naruto with a thumbs up. Suddenly a mech appeared from behind and was about to attack Tails. Tails, watch out. Naruto threw a kunai at the mech only to realize that it wasn't the regular one. He felt a slight tugging within himself, and the next thing he knew was that he stood in between Tails and the mech. He quickly reacted by slamming a Rasengan into the mech, destroying it. Naruto looked at the kunai he threw, which is a Hashirama kunai, and realized what he just did. Tails snapped out of his shock before asking Naruto what he did. What was that you just did, Naruto? It was like you teleported. And I thought only Shadow could do it with a Chaos Emerald. It's called the Hashirama or Flying Thunder God. The user places a special seal on a marked location, then they can instantly transport themselves to it no matter how far it is. 2 people knew how to use it, with one being a former leader of my village and the other my father, and I guess that I'm the third. My dad most often applies the formula on these kunai, which gave him the moniker of Yellow Flash, as that is what his enemies see whenever he moves into attack. And your being his son has allowed you to use it as well, since you both share the same chakra signature, said Kurama. So this is the technique which you said I could now use? Thought Naruto. Yes, but you can't use it at far distances yet, so watch how you use it. Naruto gave a mental nod before turning to Tails. Alright then, let's give it one more push before we get out of the desert. Tails nodded in affirmation before they continued onwards. They hit a dash ramp which sent them to the lower levels of another ruin, where they found another bottomless pit, only bigger, and there several mechs hovering in the air before them. I don't think I can carry you this far, Naruto, said Tails worriedly. Don't worry about it, Tails. I have an idea to get across. Naruto dashed forward and threw a Hiraishin kunai at a mech close to him. When the kunai embedded itself in the mech, Naruto flashed towards it. He appeared on top and yanked the kunai out before throwing it at another mech, and then flashed towards it too. And he kept this up until he kicked off the last one and landed on a platform, with Tails landing next. In front of them stood a mech which was very different from the ones they've dealt with so far. This one looked like a golem with huge fists, with yellow circle glowing at the chest. The golem aimed its fist at them, then they shot out of its joints and raced towards them. Naruto placed a palm on one of the incoming fists and vaulted over before making a straight dash at the now armless mech, only for it to twist its upper body around while shoot machine gun rounds, forcing Naruto to use Shadow Dance to evade. Tails provided support by throwing a capsule of dummy rings at the mech, which didn't do much damage, but the electrical surges slowed it down. Naruto jumped back and held his palm to form another Rasengan. Then he jumped into the air and slammed it into its energy core, causing it to explode. Music end. I think that's most of them, said Naruto as he dusted his hands. Yeah, and there's more heading towards us. Tails pointed at a squad of Eggman's mechs heading their way. Looks like we finally got their attention. Sonic and Elise must be long gone by now, so now it's time for us to make our way back to the city and meet up with them. Naruto crossed his fingers and formed to shadow clones. You guys know what to do. They nodded before forming a hand sign as they transformed into carbon copies of him and Tails before taking off with the mechs. My clones will keep them busy while we get out of here. Okay, Naruto, let's go. Tails flew off towards the city with Naruto running next to him. Soon the two foxes had finally arrived back to the city. Tails split up with him, saying that he wants to check something out in another part of the city, and said that he would meet up with them later. Naruto was walking along the street in search of his fellow speedster and princess when he saw Sonic running nearby, and he looked serious. Naruto ran up to Sonic and called out to him, "Yo Sonic, what's going on and where is the princess?" "Oh Naruto, well you see. When we got back to the city." Flashback start. Sonic and Elise were walking back to her castle when he suddenly sensed something heading towards them. He quickly carried Elise and jumped away just as cyan-colored aura struck where they stood. "I've been looking for you. You're the Iblis Trigger." They turned to see Hedgehog float down to the ground. He is light gray with white fur surrounding his neck and tan skin. He has 2 large spines at the back of his head, while at the front of his forehead there are 5 distinct spines flared up and back, with the 2 final ones covering up most of his ears. He wears white gloves with gold cuffs and circular aqua symbols, and white, navy, and aqua boots with gold cuffs. Your actions will condemn us all. Sonic stood in front of Elise to protect her. "Who are you?" "My name is Silver, and for the future of the world, I will destroy you." I have no idea what he's talking about, but I'd better defend myself, thought Sonic as he engaged this mysterious enemy. He learned that this hedgehog has the power to move objects around him with his judging from the fact random stuff are launched at him whenever the palms of his hands glow, and he waves them around. However, with his speed, Sonic was able to avoid the attacks as well as wear him down with several hits. Soon Sonic had beaten Silver to his knees and was approaching to ask what he was talking about earlier. "Hey." Silver quickly got up and used his psychokinesis to send Sonic flying into a wall, incapacitating him. Then he walked and looked down on Sonic, who was trying to get back on his feet. Humph, is this a joke? How could someone like you cause the destruction of our world? What are you talking about? Asked Sonic. It doesn't matter. For the sake of the future, the Iblis trigger must be destroyed. Silver raised his hand to strike the final blow when they heard Elise cry out. They turned to see that Eggman had shown up again in his ship with Elise in his clutches and was getting away. Elise? Wait! Sonic got up and tried to run after them but got knocked down when Silver used his psychokinesis on him. Don't you dare turn your back on me. It's time I finally put an end to this. Silver was about to strike again when they heard someone say stop and stood in between them. Both hedgehogs recognized who it was. Amy? Said Sonic in surprise. Get out of my way, Amy. This is my mission, said Silver. Absolutely not, said the pink hedgehog adamantly. Sonic got back up to his feet and looked at Amy. Thanks, Amy. I appreciate it. Then he ran in the direction he last saw Eggman. Leave it to me, said Amy. Don't worry, Elise, my friends, and I will definitely save you, thought Sonic as he ran. Flashback end. And that's what happened. I just don't get why he keeps calling me the Iblis Trigger, said Sonic. Well, back at Wave Ocean, I met a girl whose name is Blaze. She said that she and a friend of hers came from the future, and that their world was destroyed by the flames of disaster, whom they also call Iblis, said Naruto. I'm sure that hedgehog is the friend of the cat, said Kurama. Then why are they targeting me? Asked Sonic. Someone told them that you were responsible for releasing the flames into the world, something that I believe is a lie, said Naruto. You're right. It rather sounds like something that Eggman would do, which makes it very important that we save Elise before that happens, said Sonic, with Naruto nodding in agreement. Oh no, this is terrible. The duo turned to the voice and saw a man in a black suit, wearing a top hat and a monocle on his left eye, and he was pacing around looking clearly distressed. Sonic and Naruto walked to know what's bothering the man. Excuse me, sir, but is there something the matter? Asked Naruto. Indeed, young sir, Eggman's mech have appeared in the new city, and I need to let everyone know right away, said the man worriedly. Don't worry, we'll take care of it, said Sonic, with Naruto nodding in agreement. Thank you kindly. Naruto and Sonic took off, they to the northeastern side of the city, where they came upon the large gate which was opened for them to gain access to the new city. They were about to pass through when Sonic's bracelet beeped and they could hear Tails' voice through it. Sonic, can you hear me? Knuckles wants to see you. Head to the town's warehouse. Who's Knuckles? Asked Naruto curiously. He's another good friend of mine. He possesses great strength but also a short temper, so be sure to watch out for that, said Sonic with a smirk. Got it, let's go. Then they passed through the gate and found themselves running through the tall buildings of the new city. First things first, we need to find and destroy Eggman's mechs. He summoned a shadow clone who ran up the side of the building to scope the area. Then it puffed into as Naruto received its memories. Eggman's mechs have been spotted at the warehouse. That's where Tails and Knuckles are waiting for us. Let's clean up and meet with them, said Sonic. They ran towards the warehouse area near the docks. When they reached the walls surrounding the place, Naruto and Sonic easily jumped over it with no problem. There they saw Eggman's mechs moving around. Let's go, Shadow Clone Jutsu. Naruto summoned his clones as they charged in and proceeded to destroy the mechs with their techniques, with Sonic not far behind with his homing attacks and spin dash. Soon enough they were standing among scrap metal with not a robot functional. Naruto, Sonic! They turned to see Tails running towards them. There you are. Knuckles is right over there. Come on. They followed him to the other side of the warehouse where they saw someone standing there. He is a red echidna bearing a white crescent mark on his chest. He wears white gloves similar to boxing gloves and has 2 spiked knuckle claws on each hand. And he wears red and yellow shoes with green cuffs and gray sextuple bolted plates on top. Knuckles, said Sonic. The echidna turned to face them. Hey Sonic, who's the new guy? Asked Knuckles. The name's Naruto Uzumaki, the nine-tailed fox ninja. I'm working with Sonic so that we can save the princess, said Naruto with a wave of his hand. Sure thing, anyway I saw Eggman on the outskirts of the city. He wanted me to give this to you. Knuckles tossed a red card that he was holding over to Sonic, who caught it. Suddenly a hologram of Eggman appeared and he started to talk. Sonic the Hedgehog. If you want me to return the princess, you must give me your Chaos Emerald. Meet me at my base in White Acropolis, said Eggman. The recording ends and Sonic tosses the card back to Knuckles, who lets it drop to the floor and crushes it with his foot. He's pretty beepy, said Knuckles with a frown. And with good reason, right? He has more to gain than we have to lose, said Naruto with his arms crossed. It's most definitely a trap. I don't think Eggman would honor his agreement, said Tails worriedly. The kid is right, we haven't known that human for long, but he's just as sneaky as Orochimaru, said Kurama. Sonic took out the blue Chaos Emerald and looked at it for a while before finally speaking. I'm going. Tails looked at him in surprise. Sonic? Since Eggman went to the trouble of telling me where Elise is, I think I should thank him personally. Count me in, I owe that egghead a Knuckles sandwich, said Naruto, then he turned to Knuckles. No offense. Knuckles shook his head. None taken, since I myself have one for him too. He punched his fists together just to prove it. Then they headed out in search of the way to White Acropolis. Somewhere else in Solana, Silver the Hedgehog was sitting on the sidewalk thinking of the conversation which he had with Amy. He told her that Sonic was the cause for the destruction of his world, and he must kill him to prevent it from happening. Amy refused to believe him and told him that Sonic would never do that. Even if it was true, she would choose Sonic over the world before leaving him. So this is where you are. I'd been looking all over for you. Silver snapped out of his thoughts and turned to see his friend Blaze walking up to him. She noticed that something was bothering him. What's wrong? Well, Blaze. To kill someone to save the world, is it really the right thing to do? Asked Silver. You can be so naive sometimes. Whether it is right or wrong, I can't say. But I do know is that if we don't take this chance, then the future will remain the same, said Blaze. You're right, since he's after Dr. Eggman, let's sneak into Eggman's base, said Silver. Blaze nodded in affirmation before the two time travelers set off after Sonic. Meanwhile, Naruto and Team Sonic had found the cave gate which led to the icy mountains of White Acropolis. After making their way down the mountains, they found themselves before the gates of Eggman's base with a mech battalion waiting for them. When fighting through the horde, they got spotted by a searchlight which alerted more robots to their location, so Naruto used his stealth and shurikens to take out more searchlight to avoid a repetition, which Knuckles would take down any golem-type mechs that show up. There were a few switches that couldn't be reached, but Tails was there to help out with his talent for flight to activate them. Soon they found their way to the inner sanctum and were running through a long hall before stopping in front of a door which opened for them to pass through into a circular room. You're late. They looked up to see Eggman standing in a room behind a glass window and was looking down on them. Well, we had to deal with you little pets, said Knuckles. And they were quite rude. You could have taught them manners, you know, said Naruto with a smirk which was shared by Kurama. You're just as annoying as Sonic, Eggman growled in anger. Where's Elise? Asked Sonic. My, aren't we impatient? Eggman reached over and roughly pulled Elise into view. Sonic, Naruto, shouted Elise. Sonic and the others got ready to fight while Naruto crossed his index and middle fingers in preparation to create some shadow clones. You better not move, said Eggman with a smirk. Now, the Chaos Emerald. Sonic held it out for him to see. Now place it there. He points to a pedestal which rises from the floor. Elise shakes her head as if telling them not to do it. But Sonic walks over and places the emerald on it, and it went back into the floor. Naruto's eyes narrowed when he saw Eggman smile evilly and press a button. Suddenly a pink force field generated from the ceiling and surrounded Sonic and the others, much to their surprise. What? Tails was looking around confusedly. Then Knuckles moved up to the force field and punched it only to get knocked back. Let me give it a try, Knuckles, said Naruto as he formed a Rasengan in his hand. He slammed it into the force field, but it still held strong against his attack. Damn. I knew that we would walk into a trap. But we never expected this. It's no use, it's too powerful for you to overcome, said Eggman. Now allow me to introduce to you my latest creation. This is the Solaris prototype. Elise let out a gasp while Naruto narrowed his eyes when they heard the name Solaris. Isn't that the name of the sun god? What is he talking about? Eggman chuckled evilly as he walked to the other side of the room and pulled the lever. With this machine, I'll be able to control the flow of time itself. The machine started to suck them upwards. Naruto and the others tried to resist, but the suction was too strong and they were pulled into the vortex and force field disappeared with them. Elise leaned against the window as she saw them vanish without a trace. Rest assured, they're not dead yet, said Eggman. They've just been teleported by my glorious invention to another time. Who knows where they'll end up? It could be the distant past or far future. But my machine still requires some fine-tuning. In fact, what my machine needs in order to be complete is your power. My power? Asked Elise. Yes, I can finally complete my plans. Now that I have the Chaos Emeralds and you. Eggman pointed at her, the Princess of Solana. That's all I need to revive the flames of disaster. And with its power, I will be able to control everything and rule the world. So, you would be wise to remain on my good side. He walks off, leaving Elise to look back at the room her new friends once were. I hope you're all safe, wherever you are, Elise thought with hope that they would come back. Naruto, Sonic and the others emerged out of the vortex and plummeted towards the ground. Sonic and Naruto were able to land on their feet, while the others didn't land so well. Are you guys okay? Asked Naruto. Yeah, but I feel a bit dizzy, said Tails as he slowly got up to his feet and started to look around. Where are we? I believe the right question is when are we? Doesn't the room look familiar? Said Naruto. Tails took another look around. You're right, this room looks the same as the one we were in before. Naruto, they're two strangers approaching, but they have no ill intentions, said Kurama. Oh, look who's here. I didn't expect to see you guys, a feminine voice spoke out. They turned to look up a ledge to see two figures there. One is a white female bat with her muzzle and torso somewhat tan, and her wings are colored dark purple. Her short white hair flares out to the back and she wears powder blue eyeshadow as well as pink lipstick. She wears an attire of black chest-high jumpsuit with pink heart chest plate, elbow-long white gloves with pink cuffs and high-heeled white boots also with pink cuffs. Naruto looked at the other, and could have sworn he was Sonic's twin except that he was a total contrast to the blue speedster. He is a black hedgehog with red stripes in his quills with 4 of them pointing upward while the 2 point downwards, and he has 2 spines on his back and a small tail. He wears white gloves with black and red tongue cuffs, his shoes are white with black heel regions and soles, and what seems to be red strips of metal on the rear and front of the bottom of each shoe. What Naruto noticed the most was the rings on his wrists and ankles. He seems to be holding back a lot of power within himself, almost like it was sealed away, said Kurama. Rouge and Shadow. Tails said the names respectively as they, excluding Naruto, were surprised to see them here. Hi. Long time no see. And who happens to be the handsome grown-up fox with you? Asked Rouge, Shadow looking at Naruto with a hint of interest. This is our friend Naruto, he's a 9-tailed fox ninja, said Tails. A ninja, huh? I'd like to see how sneaky you can be. Rouge gave a flirtatious wink which made Naruto blush, and he could hear Kurama laughing at him. There is something you need to see, come with us, said Shadow before he turned and walked off with Rouge following. Naruto and the others looked at each other before they followed him as well. They walked out of the facility, and found themselves standing on top of a cliff but were shocked at what they were seeing. Before them is a city in total ruin, burning and knocked over buildings, destroyed highways and ground submerged in molten magma. This is the distant future, far removed from our time, said Shadow. This place is the future? No wonder why Blaze and Silver wants to change the past so badly, thought Naruto. Indeed, I've never seen this kind of devastation since our battle with the Jubi, said Kurama. The future? Then that means Eggman's machine can control time. But it doesn't seem like he has full control over it, said Tails. Eggman's got some nerve dropping us here, said Sonic. So then how do we get back to our time? Asked Knuckles. You need a space-time rift, but this requires a lot of energy, said Shadow. Sonic immediately caught on to what Shadow was talking about. I get it. You mean by using your chaos control will open a rift to take us to our time? Yes, but that alone is insufficient. In other words, we need to work together to find the Chaos Emeralds, said Naruto, getting a silent nod from the stoic hedgehog. Geez, this guy is just as much of an emo as Sasuke. Tell me about it, said Kurama. Okay guys, let's go. The sooner we can find those Chaos Emeralds, the sooner we can get back to our time and rescue Elise, said Sonic. Then they took off into the city with Rouge and Shadow watching them. That foxy boy is quite an interesting one, would you agree, Shadow? Said Rouge. Yes, I could somehow sense great power sleeping deep within him. It makes me curious how powerful he could be, said Shadow before they left as well in search of a Chaos Emerald. Naruto and Team Sonic were running through the ruined buildings of the burning city in search of a Chaos Emerald before meeting up with Shadow and Rouge so that they can create a time rift which will send them back to the present. So how do we go about searching for a Chaos Emerald since we don't exactly have the means to do? Asked Knuckles. Let's split up. Sonic and I will comb through the city while you and Tails look around for anything that could help, said Naruto. Alright, we'll contact you if we find anything, said Tails. Then he flew off with Knuckles jumping in the air and glided after him. Sonic and Naruto stood over a knocked-down building and looked down at the landscape laid out before them as fire would shoot out from the ground every once in a while. Man, the whole city is on fire, said Sonic. Kid, you and your friend better watch yourselves. I sense that the flames are alive, which is why they burst from the ground time to time, said Kurama. Naruto nodded in affirmation before turning to Sonic. Sonic, we should be careful. Those flames seem to be alive and would attack us at any given time. Gotcha, Naruto, and I have an idea on just how we can through here, said Sonic with a grin which piqued Naruto's curiosity. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Crisis City, The Flame, Skyscraper, Whirlwind, Tornado. Moments later, Sonic and Naruto were speeding down a slanted building on long pieces of metal to serve as makeshift snowboards. Sonic was swerving around the obstacles like a pro, while Naruto was able to manage thanks to his reflexes and remembered how one of the ninjas rode on one during his mission in the Snow Country when he was protecting Princess Koiki. He swerved left and right to avoid the flames which suddenly shot out from the ground. He flipped over a broken car which was in his way and hit a ramp which sent him flying into the air, where he performed a method air plus 360 spin before landing next to Sonic as they continued to ride down the building. When they reached the end, they jumped off and landed on some rails which they grinded along before reaching of it as well to get onto a broken highway. Whoa, Naruto, heads up! Shouted Sonic as pieces of buildings fell from above and almost crushed them. Gotcha! Replied Naruto, swerving quickly to evade the falling debris. Then suddenly something shot out of the ground before them. It looked like a segmental worm which is made of red and orange lava with its back and head covered in rock-like armor. It has no eyes and its mouth is composed of 3 creeping mandibles. The worm opened up its mandibles and shot fireballs at Sonic and Naruto, but they managed to dodge them by sliding from side to side and got away from it. What was that thing? Asked Sonic. Whatever it was, it must have been created by the flames, which is in other words Iblis, said Naruto. You're right about that, Kit. Those creatures share the same energy signature as the flames around us, and I feel that there are more to come, said Kurama. The fox was right, as more of those worms burst from the ground, with a few launching fireballs and others lunging at them with their mandibles open to eat them. But Sonic and Naruto were able to evade them as the worms attacked before any of their attacks could hit them. "Sonic! Something's coming from behind, so watch out," said Naruto when his senses picked up a few hostiles coming in from behind fast. Sonic turned around to see what was coming. They looked like a cross between a phoenix and bat, while also made of the same orange and red lava, having 2 ears which curl upward to almost resemble horns, and they also have long tails with pear-shaped tips. "I got this." Sonic used a destroyed car as ramp to launch himself into the air. He jumped off the board and used his homing attack to send them flying into a wall before landing back on the board, nothing to it. He smirked, then he looked ahead of them and saw a dash ramp. "Looks like our ride ends here." They hit the dash ramp, which sent them flying into the air, where they jumped off the makeshift snowboards before landing on the streets below. "Hey, check it out, we got a welcoming committee," said Naruto as several worms burst from the ground and few phoenixes descended from the sky. Naruto took out a Hashirama kunai while Sonic crouched a bit with his legs apart. "Then let's accept their reception." Sonic crouched into a ball and started spinning quickly before speeding forward and slamming into the one of the worms when opened its mandibles to launch a fireball, sending it crashing to the floor and laid there unmoving. Then he jumped into the air and used the homing attack to knock the phoenixes out of the sky before landing on the ground. Naruto was running towards 2 worms who lunged at him. He tossed the kunai into the air and waited for them to get close to him. Right at that moment, he disappeared in a flash of yellow light as the worms dug their mandibles into the ground, and he reappeared above them with a Rasengan in each hand. "Take this. Rasengan barrage." He slammed the attack on their heads, driving them further into the ground as they laid there unmoving before catching the falling kunai with one of his tails. "Naruto, come on this way!" shouted Sonic as he followed a trail of rings which led to a wide spring. They bounced off it to get to the ledge of a partially destroyed building. They quickly dashed to the other side, where more phoenixes appeared before them with a deep chasm below. "Let's use these guys as footholds to get across to the other side." "One step ahead of you, buddy!" Naruto flung his Hashirama kunai to hit one before flashing over to it and throwing at another. Sonic followed up with the homing attack before they jumped into another building. This time waiting for them were lizard-like creatures made entirely of red and orange lava. They have hardened armor on their head which resembles a shark fin, back and limbs. They roared at Naruto and Sonic before jumping at them with claws outstretched. Naruto jumped back a bit before the lizard landed and was about to attack when it opened its mouth and let loose a stream of flames. Swift release, shadow dance. He blurred out of sight and reappeared behind it only for it to lash out with its tail, but he responded with his own and they entangled. He started to spin around several times before letting go to sending the lizard crashing through a wall and opening up another way for them to access Sonic. "Let's go." Sonic had just finished his by curling into a spiny ball and bouncing hard on it back a few times before it laid unmoving and nodded in affirmation. They ran through the opening and jumped onto a nearby rail and grinded along it before landing on another part of the broken streets. They sped through the streets and stepped on a dash panel which launched them forward as they ran through a loop before hitting a dash ramp which took them to a tall tower. In the center is a spring which Naruto and Sonic stepped to bounce them high into the air. They were at the peak of their jump when an extremely powerful wind current blew through, was carrying cars, parts of buildings, and streets. The speeding duo ended up landing on them and looked around with surprise. "Whoa, the winds around here must be really strong enough to do this," said Sonic. "I know, but we've got to get out of here before we get ourselves too lost," said Naruto with the blue hedgehog nodding in affirmation. They leapt from platform to platform while struggling against the wind that kept pushing them off towards the ground before at a dangerous height. A few phoenixes and worms got in their way, but they able to take them out. They hit a spring which sent them jumping from one piece of debris to another until they got to the end. Naruto looked into the distance and saw something which gave him an idea. "I figured a way to get out of this wind current, so follow my lead." Then he ran forward and jumped the platform, much to Sonic's surprise, before he followed after him. In midair, Naruto crossed his middle and index fingers together and called out multi-shadow clone jutsu. A large amount of clones puffed into existence. Then they started to grab each other's legs to form a makeshift rope. He swung them around at a building where to one at the end quickly latched onto. Sonic and Naruto swung from the other side and were able to break free from the wind current, and found themselves landing on a rather long highway. Sonic whistled at the stunt that they just pulled off. That was pretty tight. Thanks. Naruto smirked back at him. Then they heard a roaring sound from behind and turned around to see a giant flaming tornado heading in their direction. Whoa, that tornado is carrying a car. Make that plural. Let's do what we do best. Run! They took off down the highway with the tornado in pursuit as it was flinging cars at them from behind as they darted left and right to evade. The both of you better watch out for obstacles both in front and behind, said Kurama as he watched through Naruto's senses. Got it, Naruto replied as he jumped over a car that landed in front of him before darting to the left to avoid a falling iron beam. The flaming tornado was slowly gaining on them and chucking even more cars than before. Suddenly a massive amount of debris fell from above and landed on the street, completely blocking the road. Naruto saw this and created a shadow clone. Together they formed a Rasengan much bigger than normal and charged at a giant ball Rasengan. The large blue spinning sphere blew away the debris for them to quickly pass through. Naruto! Let's lose this hot breeze for good. With that said, Sonic picked up speed to the point of appearing like a blue blur. Naruto channeled chakra to his feet, which increased his speed to the point of leaving behind afterimages as they easily outpaced the flaming tornado and got off the highway. Music end. Man, that was close, said Naruto, wiping sweat from his forehead. I gotta say, Sonic, you're fast. It was no sweat, I hadn't even hit top speed yet. But you're not so bad yourself. Makes me wonder what Shadow would think of it, said Sonic with a grin. Suddenly his bracelet beeped and Tails' voice rang out from it. Sonic, Naruto, can you hear me? We read you loud and clear, Tails. What's up? Knuckles and I have found a working facility. We might find a computer that could help us track down the energy of a Chaos Emerald. I'm sending you the coordinates to meet up with us. Gotcha, Tails, we're on our way, said Naruto. Then they followed the directions and found Tails and Knuckles waiting at the entrance of a ruined building. So what happened at your end? Asked Knuckles. Oh, nothing much, just fought some monsters made out of lava and jumped on top of flying pieces of buildings and streets in a wind draft, said Sonic nonchalantly. And let's not forget that we had to outrun a flaming tornado that was chucking cars at us, Naruto added in. I guess your exploration wasn't so boring, said Knuckles as they walked through the corridors of the building, but I have to say that no matter where we look, all we see are ruins. I still can't believe that this is our future. But could it have come to this? Said Tails. Something must have happened to Elise to release the flames, but what? Said Sonic, then noticed Naruto tense a bit. What's up, Naruto? I'm sensing 3 people ahead of us, said Naruto. How do you know that? Asked Tails. Thanks to a good friend of mine. I have the ability to sense emotions, and right now I'm sensing some over there. He pointed at a metal door that was slightly open. They quietly walked over, peeked inside to see a large database computer with 3 figures standing before it. 2 of which Naruto and Sonic are familiar with, but the third was what surprised them. It was a hedgehog who almost looked like Shadow, but his colorations are a bit different. Kit, can you sense the negativity from that hedgehog? Asked Kurama with narrowed eyes. Yeah, he practically leaks evil from within. We better keep an eye on him, thought Naruto, with Kurama nodding in agreement. Then they listened in on the conversation. Is it true, Mafils? Asked Silver the Hedgehog. If I eliminate that guy, will our world be saved? The mysterious black hedgehog nodded to confirm the question. Yes, indeed. Here are the records of the day of disaster. This was when Iblis was freed and his flames were released into the world. He pressed the key on the control panel and screenshots of Solana in the past appeared on the large screen, and you have this person to blame. He held out a purple Chaos Emerald which Silver took and peered at. I see it. So the blue hedgehog is the Iblis trigger? Said Silver. Blaze the cat walked over and looked at it. Blue hedgehog. Then she turned to look at the entrance, but Naruto and the others quickly moved out of her sight when they saw her turning around. "I'll send us back to the time when the Iblis Trigger was still alive." Mephiles formed a purple orb between his hands which spread out to cover him along with Silver and Blaze before disappearing out of sight. Seeing that they were gone, Naruto and the others entered the room and approached the computer. "Who was that guy? He looked just like Shadow," said Knuckles. "More like an imposter. I was sensing some bad vibes from him," said Naruto. "He was the one who lied to the Hedgehog and Cat. That Sonic was the one who caused the future to end up like this," said Kurama. This is terrible," said Tails as he was pressing away on the keyboard. "What is it, Tails?" asked Naruto as he, Sonic and Knuckles walked over to the two-tailed fox. "According to the data, the princess died when she was kidnapped by Eggman. Apparently Eggman's battleship exploded." "When did this happen?" asked Naruto urgently. "The date is this incident was 2 days after the Festival of the Sun. If we don't return in time, Elise will die on board Eggman's battleship." "Then that means," said Sonic. "It means that if Elise dies, then the flames of disaster will be released onto the world," Naruto finished grimly. "Tails, have you learned the location of a Chaos Emerald?" asked Knuckles. "Just give a second," Tails typed on the keyboard. "For a few minutes I got it. There's Chaos Emerald located somewhere in a volcano. I'll contact Shadow and Rouge to meet us there." After contacting them, Naruto and Team Sonic left the city and arrived at the volcanic area in the outskirts where they found Shadow and Rouge waiting for them. "You guys are so slow. Look," Rouge holds out a green Chaos Emerald with a smug look on her face. "You guys already found a Chaos Emerald. That's pretty quick," said Naruto. "Well, not to toot my own horn, but I'm a real treasure hunter. Maybe I can teach you a thing or two, unlike a certain echidna I know." Hearing that, Knuckles angrily walked up to her. "What did you say?" Then he grunts and walks away. "Have you guys discovered anything?" asked Shadow with his arms crossed. "Yeah, we received a signal indicating that there's a Chaos Emerald here. But," said Tails before pointing at a volcano. "You mean we have to go through there?" asked Rouge. "Then if you don't like it, you can stay here," said Knuckles. "You've got to be kidding." Naruto quickly spoke up before they got into an argument. "Calm down. We need to focus on getting to the emerald so that we can get back to our own time." "Whatever you say, Foxy," said Rouge while Knuckles grumbled a bit. "Don't be late," said Sonic. "Humph, same to you." Shadow walked by him before taking off with the others close behind. Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Flame Core Volcano. The group were running along the ledges of the mountain with Tails and Rouge flying above, Sonic, Shadow, Knuckles and Naruto running on the ground. "Watch out for the lava which burst out from the ground," said Knuckles just as they jumped out of the way of an eruption. Then they ran through a shuttle loop which ended with a triple spring. They bounced on it to send them high into the air, giving them a view of the landscape ahead of them as well as the volcano. "Hoo-hoo! What a view!" said Sonic excitedly. "It seems like the crust energy is getting out of control. Could it be because of the Chaos Emeralds?" said Shadow. "It's a possibility," said Knuckles. They descended to the ground and ran through another shuttle loop and hit a dash ramp to send them flying to a clearing. There more of the worms, lizards and phoenixes appeared before them, but there was another creature among them. It looked like a humanoid giant made entirely of lava with cooled molten earth encasing its limbs like arms, legs, wrists, shoulders, chest and head as armor. "Whoa, that's quite a welcome just for us," said Sonic. "Looks like we got a heavy hitter among them. This might be a good workout for me," said Knuckles. "Let's take it to M, guys." Naruto charged forward with his claws bared. The others were close behind as they picked their opponents. Tails threw his dummy rings at the phoenixes, and Rouge supported with her pink heart-shaped bombs to blow them out of the sky and send them crashing to the ground. Chaos attack! Shadow skated forwards and jumped into the air at a worm who opened its mandibles to take a bite out of him, but he was faster and launched a barrage of punches and kicks before finishing up with an axe kick to drive it to the ground. A worm came in from behind, then Shadow turned around with yellow electricity in his hand's Chaos Spear, and threw an arrow-shaped energy which paralyzed, and then he unleashed another Chaos attack on it as well. Four lizards surrounded Sonic, who was smirking. Well, what are you waiting for? I'm right here. He did a come here gesture which pretty much irritated them as they jumped attacked him at the same time. Sonic started spinning his legs around like he's breakdancing at high speeds that it formed a miniature tornado, and knocked them away from him head too easy. Knuckles was charging at the golem, who raised a hand and lava formed around it to take the shape of a spiked ball. Then it was thrown at the echidna. Knuckles leapt high into the air to dodge it, ground shaker. Then he dived straight towards the ground fist first while spinning himself rapidly while giving off a flaming red aura. He struck the ground with enough force to create a shockwave on the ground which affected the golem to the point that it couldn't move. Now you're mine! Knuckles launched himself at the golem's head and slammed a powerful haymaker to take it down. Naruto was charging at his own group of lizards. Let's get wild. Shadow Clone Jutsu. He created a handful of clones as they ran along his side. Flurry of the Skulk. They all attacked with their claws bared, slashing left and right, giving the lizards a chance for them to retaliate. Then he leapt back to see them fade away into the atmosphere. There seems to be a larger amount of enemies than usual. It's best that you keep a sharp eye out when you enter the volcano, Kurama. Got it, thought Naruto. Then they heard a rumble and turned to see that lava and brimstone was shooting out of the volcano. The volcano is erupting, let's go, said Shadow. Then they took off towards the cliff, which had a dash ramp at the end, and launched themselves towards the crater of the volcano. Music switch, Sonic the Hedgehog OST, Flame Core the Cavern. They landed on a rock platform with rivers of lava around most of the area with columns of rocks sticking out. Now that we're here in the core of the volcanic, let's find that Chaos Emerald, said Naruto. They split up with Shadow and Rouge going through a lava tube while Sonic, Tails and Knuckles went through another, leaving Naruto to scope out the area on his own. Naruto ran forward, bounced off a spring to get onto a ledge above him. Two worms burst out of the ground to attack. Naruto cartwheeled to the right to avoid the attack and threw kunai wrapped with explosive tags into their mouths, which exploded within them. Then he heard rumbling and saw a stone door slid downwards to reveal a tunnel. I guess it must have opened since I took down the enemies around here, thought Naruto. He proceeded through the tunnel and ended up in another cavern which suddenly darkened to his surprise. What just happened? I advise that you watch your step, Naruto, or you might end up falling into the lava, said Kurama, but it's a good us foxes can see in the dark. You're right about that, said Naruto as he leapt on the platforms with little trouble. Then he saw a purple orb looking like a hardened form of lava levitating above a platform. Feeling curious, he threw a shuriken at it, which made lit up with a purple glow, illuminating most of the surrounding area. Well, this makes it easier for me to get around. He continued through the cavern while striking more of the orbs to light up the path till he was finally out of the cavern. I thought we would never get out of there, said Kurama, with Naruto nodding in agreement. He bounced off a couple of springs to ascend a waterfall of lava. Then he threw a Hiraishin kunai to a wall before flashing over to it. Then he kicked off it to land on a ledge and ran along it to enter another lava tube. Once inside, the room darkened again, much to his annoyance, and he also found Sonic and Tails there. I guess you guys couldn't advance because of the darkness. Yeah, but Knuckles is helping us out by finding those orbs to light up the way, said Sonic. Sure enough, the cavern lit up brightly for the gang to advance, and found a grinning Knuckles waiting for them. Told you I could handle it, said Knuckles. Music end. They continued their descent to the core and reunited with Shadow and Rouge along the way until they finally found themselves standing before a large volcanic pool and saw a cyan Chaos Emerald floating in the air. Rouge flew up to the emerald and reached out to take. I found a Chaos Emerald. Naruto immediately sensed something approaching them, and it seemed like Shadow sensed it as well as he called out to her. Don't touch it! Shouted Shadow. Naruto quickly threw an Hirishin kunai at Rouge and flashed over to her. Then he carried her in a bridal carry which made her blush a bit before using one of his tails to grab the kunai, and then flung it back to where the others are and flashing away right before something burst out of the magma. "Thanks for the save, Foxy," said Rouge as Naruto set her down. "No problem," said Naruto with a foxy grin. Then they turned their attention to the monster before them. It resembled a giant worm with a serpent-like body and an armored ripped-up head, and there is a green eye located on its forehead before it closed its eyelid. "What is this thing?" I think that's Iblis." Everyone looked at Naruto with surprise in their eyes. "What makes you so sure of that?" asked Sonic. "Because the energy that I'm sensing from it is the same as the monsters which we fought on the way here, only much stronger." "Well, we're gonna have to beat it if we want to get that KS Emerald," said Knuckles. Sonic stepped forward with Shadow and Naruto walking up to his side. "Leave this to us." Music start. Sonic the Hedgehog OST. Boss, Iblis. Iblis unleashed a powerful roar which shook the lava dome so hard that the stalactites from the ceiling were shaken off and fell into the lava pool, serving as footholds for them to get across. But they were still too far away from the monster. "We're too far out of range to attack. Is there some way for us to draw it in?" said Sonic as he landed on one of the footholds. Shadow looked around for a bit before seeing something in the distance which gave him an idea. Then he called out to the others, "We could light up those orbs over there. They would attract it to come closer, that way we can attack it." Naruto and Sonic turned to where Shadow was pointing and saw 3 tall platforms with a purple orb on each of them at the center of the lava dome. "Sounds like a plan, but until then, heads up." They jumped out of the way when Iblis launched a volley of fireballs at them, and it destroyed the platforms that they landed on them. "We're gonna need more footholds if we need to reach those orbs," said Sonic. "Leave that to me." Naruto wrapped some exploding tags on his kunis before throwing them at the ceiling. The explosion was powerful enough to break off some stalactites to fall onto the lava, with some leading to one of the orbs. Sonic quickly jumped on the new footholds till he got close to the orb, and used his homing attack to make it light up before backing away from it. Soon they noticed that the magma was bubbling a bit before Iblis burst out and attacked the orb with its pincers, only for it to get stuck on the platform. Sonic used this opportunity to execute a homing attack on the green eye, making it roar out in pain and diving back into the magma. Then it jumped high into the air before diving at them, but the hedgehogs and fox quickly moved out of the way as it crashed into the platforms. "You guys watch out. Against something that large, you don't have a chance on the soft footholds," shouted Tails from a distance. Naruto threw another couple of kunai with explosive tags to bring down some more stalactites for them to use, but Iblis fired another volley of fireballs to destroy some of the new footholds. "It's trying to trap all of you in one place. You have to defeat this thing fast," said Kurama. Naruto thought deeply before getting an idea. He called out to Shadow, "Hey Shadow, I need you follow my lead." Shadow looked at him with a quirked eyebrow before nodding in affirmation. Shadow clone jutsu. He created 2 clones to immediately dash forward and leapt out over the lava one after the other. Shadow looked confused for a second before realizing what the fox is aiming for. "I see. So he wants me to use my homing attack on his clones so that I can get across to the orb." He jumped off his foothold and attacked each of the clones as they disappeared in a puff of smoke before getting close enough to hit the purple orb and waited. When Iblis burst of the lava to attack, he performed a backflip and used a homing attack to strike the green eye once again. He was about to fall into the lava when he saw Naruto's clones jump towards and quickly used his homing attack to get onto a foothold. "Hey, you're not as tough as you look," said Shadow with a small smirk. Iblis appeared out of the lava and roared angrily before launching a volley of fireballs at the 3rd platform, which held the 3rd purple ad, destroyed it before charging recklessly at them, destroying the footholds in its way. The trio were leaping from platform to platform to avoid the rampaging monster, with Naruto felling more stalactites for them to use. "Guys, there's no more stalactites for me to bring down. At this rate it's gonna trap us in one place," shouted Naruto as he leapt to evade the charging monster. But he destroyed the last purple orb, so he won't fall for the same trick thrice. said Sonic. Come on, Naruto, you've always been able to think outside the box in the middle of battle. You to do it again in this situation, said Kurama. Naruto was racking his brain for a plan that could somehow make Iblis stay in one place long enough for them to land a hit on it. Then he finally got one. He took out a paper tag from his ninja pouch, but the writings on it looked different from the explosive tags. Hey guys, get ready to strike back. The hedgehogs looked confused for a moment before nodding in affirmation. Naruto landed on a platform and placed the paper tag on it before staying still for Iblis to turn to and charge at him again. Get out of the way, Naruto, it's coming! Shouted Tails worriedly. Naruto waited until it got close enough before jumping back and forming a tiger hand sign to pulse his chakra, making the paper react and release a bright flash of light which completely caught Iblis unawares and leaving it dazed. Now guys, now! Sonic and Shadow moved in and performed a double homing attack on the green eye and somersaulted backwards, and Naruto followed soon after with a Rasengan to send Iblis flying into the lava pool and not to resurface, signaling its defeat. Music end. The trio soon headed back to the others while Rouge flew over to take the Cyan Chaos Emerald without any problems this time. Way to go, Naruto, you sure pulled a good one out of that bag of tricks of yours. Sonic patted Naruto's back with a grin. I must say that I'm impressed with your skills, said Shadow walking up to Naruto with his arms crossed. Thanks guys, but all three of us took him down, said Naruto while rubbing the back of his head with a sheepish look on his face. Yeah, but I gotta say, you've got some serious moves under your belt, said Knuckles with Tails nodding in agreement. Rouge landed next to them with the Chaos Emerald in hand. Well, now that we have a second Chaos Emerald, let's get back to our time. She handed it over to Sonic and walked towards Shadow, though she winked at Naruto, causing him to look away with a pink tinge on his furry cheeks. Oh, does a certain knucklehead have an attraction? Said Kurama with mischievous grin. I have no idea what you're talking about, furball, shouted Naruto. Sir, whatever floats your boat. Naruto cut off his connection to pay attention to what Sonic and Shadow were about to do. They crossed their Chaos Emeralds together and raised them to the air before calling out simultaneously Chaos Control. Then a blue swirling portal appeared in midair. Let's go! Sonic jumped in, followed by Tails, Knuckles and then Rouge. Naruto was about to follow them when he suddenly sensed a familiar negative aura and turned to see Shadow in pursuit of the hedgehog, who looks exactly like him. Kid, you better hurry, the portal is about to close, said Kurama. Naruto was currently confused, whether to jump in the portal and follow Sonic to rescue Princess Elise or stay behind to follow Shadow and hopefully get some answers from that Mephiles who seems to play a role in all this. After thinking, he made his decision. So this part ends here. Alright, that's it for today's video guys. Let me know in the comment section how was the story. And also don't forget to like, share and subscribe. I will meet you in another video. Bye bye.